So both of our players are currently looking at only what we're able to see in the non-fog of war portion of the screen. So they're able to see these hills, but just beyond their range of vision are one, two iron ore sites. So if they so choose, whatever, oh no, three iron ore sites, all of which out of view. Oh my god! If granted, no one would go champions on this start, but if they felt so inclined, they could they would have an insane start. One, two, three. So there is a significant amount of military production capacity for our players' capital cities right here, but it is very likely due to one, two, three, four fishing resources that we're going to see a couple of trader starts. We know these two players, and quite frankly, these two players know each other. Both Zophister and Siontific have been playing a couple of games against each other in the off season. I'm very excited for this match. Green Mushroom, welcome back. Nice to see you in the chat as always. Much appreciated for the comments on the videos. We still got 7 minutes before this game is supposed to kick off. Fluffy, welcome to the chat. Good to see you, man. Yes, everyone is excited for this game. Obviously, voice of the tournament himself, Siontific, playing now in his second round match. And he always puts on a good show. Sion is known for his wacky strategies. He's known for trying things outside of the meta, bringing, I think, potentially the first time we've seen a diplomat start from either of the tournaments. So always nice to see new strategies coming out, anything to shake up the meta. And Sion is not one to stray away. But as I was bringing up to everybody later on, and I'll probably edit this on in, there is a very peculiar start situation here. Our players are only able to see what's currently highlighted, and what's currently highlighted is 4 fishing resources. This is a phenomenal trader's start. Now, I have had an opportunity to both play against Sion several times, and I had an opportunity to talk with Zophister last night to get a general idea of his gameplay, how he's feeling in the tournament. And both of these players are Hattie enjoyers. And this is a decent start for a trader start for Hattie. So if people wanted to go with that particular route, they wouldn't be disappointed. However, they might find a touch of disappointment once they settle and their borders reveal 1, 2, 3 iron ore starts just out of view of the capital. So whether they like it or not, their capital building has the potential to be an amazing military hub. If they choose to delay that and later found in this city on these two, also a great opportunity to get up a very nice military installation for one of their matches. And that's going to be traveling along a centralized river. A good amount of additional movement speed for people coming in with the exploration law if they're looking to contest this fairly fertile interior of the map. Hello from Russia. Interesting content. Fun to see. Welcome from across the Pacific, friend. Love the fact that this community is global. We actually have several contenders from all over the map, all different time zones, and yet somehow we all still manage to find time to play. So it's nice to have everybody here, and I appreciate everybody taking the time to hop into the chat. Let's see. Do we got a number? 13, 14 watching now? And we still got 5 minutes before this game's even supposed to start. Looks like all right. Okay. All right. So we are taking a look right here at Siontific. He's bringing out UAG, a new Indus Valley map here, and Babylon. Interesting. Now, did he go with a trader start? He did. Okay, so we have our Babylonian player taking advantage of the trader start. By going traders, he's going to get an extra 100% output from his nets. So that's extra food, extra growth from these 3 fish tiles, and a good amount of extra gold and culture from the dyes down here in the south. All the players are now aware of the immense amount of iron immediately present on the map. So if anybody was thinking of maybe going for a knife fight, this is definitely a good way to get that early game aggression going by getting training from one of the few sources you can in the early game with the very limited text that you have. So definitely some potential for some shenanigans. Looking forward to seeing what either player might do. Babylon, fantastic nation. Honestly, one of my favorites, probably the favorite for me to have access to their unique unit. It is a phenomenal Akkadian and Chimerian archers with their splash damage are very impressive. I hope we get a chance to see that. We are doing Schemer versus Schemer. So we got a whole bunch of technology, a whole bunch of science stats right from the get-go, our players are going to be able to take advantage of selling their legitimacy in exchange for extra orders here in the early game. Definitely a phenomenal use specifically for the UAG. No one starts with more units available on the board than UAG riders start. You have one worker, two scouts, and two step riders. I suppose you could say that champions for UAG would be the second place, but yes, starting out with the riders start on your mounted units is going to give you the additional Saddle-borne 25% increase to flanking damage, which means that these guys are going to be able to do, if they're flanking a barbarian tribal site, 5 damage each. We'll be able to see that shortly in a second, and able to clear these sites fairly efficiently, utilizing only 2 turns. 5 damage, 5 damage. 20 damage in total necessary to eliminate here, so Sion is going to be off to the races, pun intended with the horses, for his early expansion. On the Babylonian side, a little bit slower, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of it, slower of a opening profile, but is definitely going to be able to see a good solid clear. They are going to be able to come through here with a Warden promotion. Bit risky. You don't always get the right placement of the available urban tiles to have a good approach on every single barbarian tribe. But that additional 25% is going to allow them to kill this tribal site in the 3 turns necessary to get that out of the way before a new unit spawns. So excellent work. Definitely going immediately for these early growth and early food. And they are off to a very nice clip. Both players playing very fast in this, very fast in our turn order. Like to see the energy coming into the game right from the offset. Sion has such a love affair with UAG. Yes, he does. Horse spam for UAG. Go, go, go. Yes, definitely looking forward to some maybe horses, some new creative styles. And I have had the opportunity to play against Sion and his new stirrup strategy. Now, granted, he utilized that on the Hattie experience, but let's see if our key commentators highlighted any text. No indication on where he's going quite yet in the tree, but he's starting classically with divination. Want to get that religion out, helps out with the family opinion, helps with the culture, helps with the science. Always a great tech to start off with. In comparison, the Babylonian player is going to be starting us off also, surprise, surprise, with divination. And absolutely nothing wrong with that. Both of our players are playing Schemer. Both of our players also are going to share the opening strength, which is randomized at the beginning of the match, of Loyal. An extra 64 gold coming on in turn over turn for our players, so no one's going to be hurting very much on this early game economy. There is not a lot to chop here to get access for your mines, to access for your farms. There is more down here, but that gold is definitely going to smooth out their opening game economies. Neck and neck, we have 23 to 19. Obviously, Schemer Start is going to be one of the best opening starts for your early game science, given that your leader has that early 4 wisdom coming on through. But of course, Babylon doing Babylon things gets just that little bit extra science for putting down more and more sites. Sages are going to give you a little bit of extra boost, and Babylon just really is the best at ramping that early game science, but it's whether or not you can translate that into a lead. Speaking of science, also no clues given to us on how the Babylonian player expects to be using this scientific advantage. Obviously, they start with rhetoric. It looks like their free tech was ironworking. Not a bad one if you want to go for a 7-law rush. Certainly a useful tech, not to mention I personally prefer warriors for my open game clears. And Sion immediately is going to settle another. He is going to leave this site available, which is great, assuming he can get his settler here in time. It will respawn a unit in 8 years, but we have a settler coming out in short order, so we should be fine as long as no complications emerge. So definitely a good overall settling strategy. I would expect to see him settle this site next. And we are going right from the riders into the clerics. My also same preferred opening for the UAG. Get a whole bunch of cleric seat out. Really rely on that early science that you can get from the easy access that they have to pretty much every opening religion, as well as Hinduism for that extra 4 science per monastery that you can get in the capital, or in the cleric seats rather. I assume he will want to try to make the horse archer upgrade work. It would be very cool to see. For those and the unaffiliated, the UAG can take these step riders of which are actually generated not with your training typically, like you'd be used to make other units, but instead uses growth. You do put a down payment in training and a classic down payment in some resources, and the step rider will come out. That'll save you a little bit of production time in your military queue, although I suppose you do make the down payment, so it's about the same. But the promise behind them is that once you're able to get your hands on Polis, you can upgrade your step riders. Granted, again, you have access to stirrups into your horse archers. It's a very, very powerful early tech, early strength unit to get online, and pair that with a couple of horsemen. It is very powerful. It's got the clear and obvious counter of going for the phalanx tech and getting access to your spearmen. But we'll see if the Babylon player knows to leverage their science in that particular way to protect themselves against such a rush. We can already see that our UAG player has bought orders twice, so it's an additional 20 orders that he has given himself. In comparison, we have had 0 purchases. So we are stockpiling legitimacy here on our schemer worker and not taking advantage of the additional orders that we could get. Those orders could be utilized to move this scout an extra 2 more, but I would agree with his decision to not currently buy orders. The orders aren't particularly useful unless you have a use for them. So if you're not able to utilize, in my opinion, at least 80%, 8 out of the 10 orders that you can buy by selling legitimacy, it's not worth the sale. Otherwise, you can just be a little bit patient, wait a little bit longer, but Babylon does suffer with orders, so getting those extra orders in the early game to utilize your scout to be able to find your opponent, which it does look like he's angling to do, really doing some aggressive scouting into the center of the map, is very important to keeping yourself safe, and more importantly, to knowing how to use this nice little science advantage that he might be able to get it himself, because he doesn't know his opponent is also schemer and also has an early science boost. So he needs to get that information so he knows how to use his small and potentially shrinking scientific advantage to really put himself in a comfortable position to defend against a potential rush. We are sticking coastal on our clears, just keeping this nice highway going. We are still, worried about this, making sure he won't forget, but it's Sion. I doubt that he will. Let's take a peek. We got Fluffy Bunny, Dev from Mohawk. Camel archers would be particularly good too in the central desert as a horse counter. Excellent point. There is, with the exception of Rome and Egypt, I would say that Babylon is probably best suited for a potential land consolidation play. Using land consolidation, they can power their way all the way to the center of the map, grab access to groves for that scientific boost. Also, on the way, get access to lumber mills, which are going to be necessary economy to back up their unique unit. But what's going to be most important in the short term is getting access to camel archers. That scientific advantage could be utilized, but do we see camels on the map? I'm not seeing. Oh, we got one right here, dead center. So yes, camels are available. Right here, towards the center of the map, towards the more arid plains, you have 3 here in the center tile. We do likely, or I suppose we likely will, have access to the trappers, the hunters family coming in here for Babylon. So if they were to grab the center area, that is a lot of orders that are available for them between the elephants, the horses, and the camels. A good amount of order economy or as a reward for whoever grabs the center of this map. But yes, someone is going to have to grab the center of the map, identify where the camels are, identify that that is going to be a threat coming his way, and a good useful counter. But assuming that all those things click for Zophister, then yes, that would be a wonderful strategy. Going with stone cutting up next. Looks like we're trying to get our economy more in line. Picking up what I believe is our free site up here in the north. With 2 iron ore available, I would expect to see hunters here. But let's see what he goes and chooses. Oh, doubling down on sages. Okay. Well, considering that there are also these additional incense out here, sages isn't the worst seat. You can still put down, I mean, granted, I'd probably make this traders as well and feed these tiles back over to the capital to really get a boosted capital up in very high culture. But he could, of course, put hunters here as well, make some horse units, utilize this iron ore. But the sages are going to do just fine in this seat. They are going to be able to produce these groves at a higher rate given their innate civics production, and they'll give extra science because all specialists inside of sages seats give additional science. Sion continues the warpath, and we have 2 sites here available for him to move into. 1 site here down, 2 settlers on the way. Very fast expansion coming out of UAG. And if we switch over to Babylon and we take a look, we can see that he hasn't quite determined exactly how fast his opponent is expanding. Babylon's not doing a bad job themselves. They have an additional city to what the UAG have been able to put together because of that fast growth rate inside of their nation. But we have 2 settlers about to pop and only home for 1 of them. He's going to need to clear out another site of which he does not have another unit available. Another reason why I really would have liked to see a hunter city here, just to get extra training because they are a military family, and that additional training would get out an extra warrior, or because it's hunters, an extra slingers for sentinel, to increase his overall clear speed. Otherwise, he's going to be finding himself at a disadvantage. Having settlers that are just sitting around does feel like a little bit of a waste of overall city build queue production. But, I mean, you're never sad to have a settler immediately ready to go as soon as you clear a site. But maybe one of these should have been another unit. Maybe this should have been a hunter's. But he is keeping up in expansion rate and is actually currently ahead. We'll see how long he's going to be able to keep that up for, because now new settler, no new worker, just another new settler. Sion is saying pedal to the metal and isn't going for this site. Oh no! Okay, so he's settled champions here. Champions, great pick here. He's going to be able to use this champion seat to net 1-2 extra iron and really boost that. Fantastic choice here. But I hope he takes this militia and runs it back to sit on the site, because in 2 years, it doesn't matter how fast his clear speed is, he's going to have to come back and clear it again. So we'll see if Sion is keeping that in mind, or if he's playing so fast, which, you know, as a commentator, I do appreciate the play speed, but we'll see if he is keeping that in mind enough to really make this work. Very wide settles are definitely very good, but, you know, it raises some eyebrows here. Despite the coastline, despite the resources known about up here in the north, despite the, I guess, resources that we haven't yet discovered down here, but you could potentially expect, because of how much coastline is on a lush coast desert map, we are choosing to avoid traders. I think that's the right call. I think you always want to go Rider Start. Rider Start is just excellent on UAG because the Saddleborn makes these units usable. If they do not have Steadfast with a Champion Start, if they do not have Saddleborn with a Rider Start, they are very rough units to maneuver, especially on a clear speed like this. So, and you're always going clerics, in my opinion, because of how many access they're going to have to monasteries, and only the cleric family is able to build monasteries without access to the monasticism law, or monasticism tech. So you want clerics as your science engine. You want either of these families to open up with, but then you're choosing between what the map is better for, champions or traders. And that really comes down to your overall playstyle. I'm a big champion lover. I love having one city that's just an absolute printer. So I definitely like his choice there, especially with the iron present. All right, Babylon is getting a lot more comfortable becoming aware of exactly what's going on inside of the center of the map. Both players are aware of exactly how close they are to one another. Well, I suppose not. Despite the fact that he is just outside of the view here, they have not actually met because that's right, because 2 hidden scouts do not see each other. So they have not met yet. And with this giant wall here, who knows if they're going to meet immediately. My guess is that Sion is aware of this wall because it's present on his side of the map, so he's coming south here and will bump into the city sooner rather than later. Fluffy is letting me know that there is a map search available on the map now. On the mini map now. Oh. Neat. Oh, is that city name? Query type. I'm looking for resources, all resources. Camel search. Says no. Okay, so this is like what's available in their site. He would still see this. Why is it showing no results found? And now how do I get rid of this? There we go. Always nice to see Mohawk constantly adding new updates to the game, not only to the gameplay, but to the UI. We will do everything we can to keep this community running as hot as it has been, especially in recent history. I think our tournament has been doubling in size year over year. So as long as they keep coming out with these awesome updates, we're going to keep coming out with growing the community. And hopefully that all works out simpatico. All right, more cities coming down, more clerics coming down. Exactly. This is what I love to see. Get your 2 other nations out, but I want to see 3 cleric cities. And I would like to see a solid push now for maybe another religion. I would like to see him go for, Judaism because he already has his tech for it, or Zoroastrianism, because the more that you can get unlocked inside of this game, the better off you're going to be, because all these cleric cities are going to get really net from that science in a way that no other nation is really able to take advantage of. Okay, so I changed from scientific to other. Oh, it's changing over turns. I'm going back to resources. That's improvement type. I'm looking camel. Enter. Still says no results found. Am I missing out on anything else here, Fluffy? Unowned. Unimproved? I'll learn how to play with that off screen, I promise you, Fluffy. But in the meantime, the Eagle Eye promotion is available on this particular unit, so I am able to scope out most of where we're going to find these extra bonus resources available. So, yes, it is all present here in the center of the map, again, for that kind of camel play. It would be interesting to see, but we could get to a point where one player has access to 2 camel-producing cities, and one doesn't. Not to mention, you could push that even further advantage for the UAG because they have access to riders, so they'd be able to import camels into another city if that's a tech they wanted to go for. But that's not the direction that we're going here. Spoked wheel marked out onto the map. My guess is that is an indication that we are going, if not for a chariot rush, then for a stirrups rush. Very interesting strategy. Love to see a new gameplay coming out of Siontific. I don't think we've seen this particular strategy out of UAG, or at least I haven't been able to watch it yet in the tournament. If anyone's got a shout out for a recommendation on how to find that one, I'd love to see it. Yep, that's absolutely true. Sion is in fact practicing his lovely horse girls again. Okay, back over to Babylon. We have a whole bunch of pins for indication on what to be doing here. And he's playing after my own heart. We are going for a 7-law rush timing. And he's doing the exact laws I would go for. Fantastic. You're going to be able to get to your divine rules, spread your shrines throughout the entire nation via polytheism, switch over to monotheism. And what that's going to do is going to give you one order 2 orders for every single one of your cities. It is a fantastic way for nations like Greece or for Babylon to prioritize, because of their poor order economy, that they get rewarded for getting all these laws, which are very powerful in and of themselves, but also it really softens that one weakness that they find themselves in. So we already have them all targeted out. We are looking to be getting... Still, a decision needs to be made, it looks like. 25 seconds left on the clock. We'll see what he picks. Stone Boost isn't bad. Stone Economy isn't great. It would be a nice way to level that out with only a one-turn pivot, but these are two amazing science technologies. And Aristocracy, yes, definitely an excellent choice. By the time this is up, you'll have more than enough civics to immediately turn it on, and Babylon's already at a developing level of culture here at turn 16 because of that trader's start, and he's going to be able to leverage that additional culture to produce 4 science a turn in his capital. Definitely a great way to pay dividends, especially, I believe, if he is, yes, putting his schemer in the capital as well. So that 4, oh no, he switched over to Mill Drill. Okay, interesting. I probably would still stick with Aristocracy. I like to get my laws online. Not to mention that is science now versus science later. You have to take time out of your worker schedule to build these barracks before you're even able to build the officers. So if we're talking about getting your science game ramped as quickly as possible, I would definitely advocate for Aristocracy over Mill Drill in my personal preference. Obviously, military drill is a phenomenal technology, which gets only better considering the amount of iron that's already on the map that is going to be able to boost these seats that have it, because they have an extra base to do their 20-40% increase off of. So I really can't fault him for going for military drill. It is a fantastic technology. Aristocracy is, in fact, more greedy. And if we are talking about the possibility of being rushed, he's maybe right here in going military drill to get that extra production in case a giant horde of horses come over the hills. Another excellent benefit about going for a 4-law rush is that in your path is phalanx. So you're able to get that pretty quickly, and hopefully he really keys in on this, because he is going to stay on pace. He's going to be able to keep building towards his ultimate endgame strategy, and in the meantime, he can pick up spearmen, which are a great way to protect yourself against this particular opening attack. Have a settler moving a settler into a diabolical situation he's got going on here. He's looking at open terrain, no cover, being attacked. Thank God he's not in, open and clear terrain, but there is no shrubbery, there is no trees to hide in to soften the blow from these ranged attacks. So they are going to be able to do a number on him, 4 damage, 8 damage a turn, whereas he is also able to do 8 damage a turn, but he's going to be, having to retreat this unit before the settler is going to get anywhere. But he's being very aggressive in going for this opening site. This has got to be where the hunters are going to be. Again, this is going to be another hunter seat. 1, you want your sentinel units being produced towards the front, so that way as soon as they pop up out of a production queue, they're immediately able to have instant impact by being inside of their national territory and getting that extra sentinel buff. On top of that, you definitely want this to be a hunter's city because of 1, 2, 3, 4 orders that you will get from the nets or from the camps available here in the site. Let alone the fact that we could, obviously go for our camel archers, but we are going for the 7-law rush. So I suppose that means we aren't going to be seeing camel archers out of our Babylonian player unless his strategy pivots. Would like to see spears in their absence, so we're not just going for this just for the order benefit, because this being such a good city makes it a keen city as a target for the UAG. And again, because we're talking about these horses being able to, in the situation, have a larger range than usual because they're on hills, because there's no coverage for you to be able to take additional defensive buffs on your approach here. When the UAG come in eventually with their horse archers, they will have those same advantages. Extra range, no ability to dish that to hide from the damage coming in, and exactly 3 versus 1 this late into the season, you're going to have to wait until you have some backup before challenging a tribe like that. We have what promotions? We have Warden and Tough, so that is fair, but that only works if you're able to get out of these hills and into these urban tiles. So again, that is why Warden becomes risky, because you don't always have the forgiving placement of where these units are going to be. So it is a phenomenal promotion. I would say it's a better promotion on melee infantry, because they are the ones you typically want to put in a fixed position, fortify them up, and really make them annoying to kill. But I'm never going to complain about being able to sit a ranged unit back behind on an urban hill and do 25% extra damage at range. Definitely not a complaint I can say, but it's not going to help him at all on the approach on clearing out this tribe. And he can see the borders of the UAG right here, likely gearing up to do the same. Let's take a look over at some of our graphs, see how things are progressing so far on a very greedy opening start. We have some additional units versus kind of we haven't produced a single one until just this new turn for the Babylonian player. So we will see this score, I suppose, double over the next time, but not a lot of, but a lot of greed so far here from both players. We are being very extra in our expansion of UAG. Taking a look over at them, what are we seeing? We are seeing a whole bunch of growth queues. And, you know, that makes perfect sense. It does personally make me really enjoy going ironworking labor force very early on UAG. Schemer is phenomenal. I find Scholar to be preferable because you're able to recycle to get into these positions, and grabbing the Freedom Law to shave 20% off of all of these build queues, because you're building your settlers, you're building your workers, you're building your Brahmin and your disciples. And that doesn't really go away until turn 30. So getting that online and getting that huge discount can be very imperative. Not to mention, it gives you access to road technology. So that way, these little guys who are just so close to the coast but aren't quite there, you can do one road by and get them connected to the coast, or road them in together to, again, increase your overall growth coming out of your nation. But he is being graced by wonderful roadways being made by these natural rivers. They're going to be helping him on that journey. And this one particular city that, yes, would not be naturally connected, does get that additional growth because it is a rider city brought to the front line, and all rider cities are always connected. So that additional 2 growth is present inside of this city as well. Let's take a look. Oh, so sorry if I'm coming in quiet. Sounds like it is a little bit of a mixed bag. It looks like my volume is good for the most part. Alcaraz, welcome. Yes, UAG on Sion, or I suppose Sion and UAG, but they seem to be one and the same these days, for at least the games that I play with him. Def not clearing that site with just one slinger. Agreed. I feel like you really need 2 units for site 4 minimum. That's probably fair, unless you have champions, which even then you're given a militia for your second unit, so I suppose that is that second unit built in. But yes, it is always nice to have that additional backup when you're going into the sites, because they typically have 4 units by the time you're clearing out your 4th site, especially at the pacing of Sage's nations like Egypt or Babylon. Probably 3 units for the site 5. Obviously, tacticians change things, of course. How many sites has Cyan cleared now? Let's take a peek. So, he let this camp up here respawn. We were not able to put our settler in here in time, and it will actually be producing more units in 3 years. And I think it is actually close enough to these borders where it might trigger this a troop to walk in. We did not move this militia on back, which is a bit of a missed opportunity, but it doesn't hurt. So out of the free site, we have and we are now aware that this site is back. Oh boy. Definitely not the surprise that you're looking for, especially seeing that is going to be now 5 years until it comes back. But we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sites cleared, now back down to 4. We'll see what he does here. He does have a militia in territory. It could kill this in 5 years if it got here right now and was able to poke every single year and not die in response. But we'll see. Let's see. Next video idea: make a tier list of promotions with Boldest PBM. Well, actually, if you saw just this morning, Boldest, shout out Boldest. He is actually one of the key reasons I've actually gotten back into the content creator space. Really picked up where I left off, and honestly, I love his videos. His multiplayer strategies are very cool. He takes time to reach out to the community, invite big names on to come on and add their spice to the things that he's doing. He's not just doing a tier list to do a tier list, but he's doing a tier list and opening himself up to sometimes debate for how other people are looking at nations, archetypes, and he just did a video with me about unique units. Had a lot of fun. Bolus is a great guy. Really enjoyed making the video, and everyone should go check it out. Yeah, maybe a tier list on promotions. I don't know if that's really high up on my schedule. I got to be honest. I currently have like a backlog of 6 videos that I think are pretty important to make, including a couple of friends of mine IRL who are still mad at me for never making a intro to the game video. So we'll see if we get around to that. Okay. Settler is redirecting, coming on down south to the open site. Makes perfect sense. We are rotating our units back to heal. Maybe would have moved this guy back a little bit sooner, but I suppose you never know where your schemer enemy scout is going to be somewhere out in the fields. They could run in, really annoy you here. So by the time these troops have run all the way up here to clear the site, now they got to run all the way back down to re-clear this site. It can be an absolute mess. So I can see why he'd want to take the time, because he's got to have to heal for a few years anyways. So healing up now while he can, while he's racing that settler back in. Skipper talking about Barport. Honestly, man, I could probably use a little bit of a break from all the multiplayer stuff. So I'm keen on maybe trying a Barport game with you someday. We can do a video about it for sure. But definitely keep me posted. And I sometimes have the worst memories, so so remind to jog that for me occasionally, because I'm always looking to try something fresh. I think there is a scenario in this game about King of the Hill that I think more multiplayer people should be taking advantage of to learn and practice tactics against one each other. Fluffy can probably shout out more about that than I can. But that is definitely something that we'd like to see more of. A lot of this game comes down to being good at the Sim City of it all, but you will eventually come to blows in a multiplayer match. And whether you are a turtle player and need to learn how to play defense, or an offense player who needs to know how to crack a turtle, well, there is no better way than that additional tutorial. So I'll probably, or scenario. So I will probably be making a video on that as well. All right, city down. I am not certain. That looked like a far distance. It might have been a force march just to get that city in there to free up this unit so he can run on back. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the way, but we are still turn 21 now, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our overall build queues are going for growth style units. So again, would really feeling the absence of that freedom law, but his cities are very well placed. He's even taking the time to build this shrine right here. Perfection. That's going to connect it to this coastline and make this city connected as well. Get that additional 2 growth. So he's doing everything right as far as keeping his strategy clean on this. But if there is ever a nation that wanted to do a random freedom rush, I would say that's the UAG. Ooh, just one shy on a rounding error to being able to finish this off this turn. We will have to wait, but it does look like this amazing middle site is going to Babylon. A bold move coming out of Zophister, and I really appreciate it. If you are going to be doing this as Babylon, you definitely are going to want to put another Sentinel producing Hunter's Family City here. Would love to see just a little bit of touch of that. It's a shame. The map does seem to favor Sion just a scooch by putting the iron ore mine over here on his side of the map. So it is a little bit harder to defend against potential aggression. So not really something you can necessarily rely on, but it is still amazing tile to add to the amazingness of this overall site. Yes, pup. Yes, Fluffy. I absolutely agree. Had a chance to poke at it. I've not had a chance to play it. But I am excited to try out. The Hill is the name of the scenario. And yes, for practicing tactics, I do think that for all of us, which I think like the average age of the players in this game is somewhere around 30 years old. So we got lives, and it's hard to fit it all in. But when you're able to fit it in, get a chance, find somebody, and play a quick match on the hill. There's no development. It's just a chance to play tactics 1v1, I presume. So you would be able to really kind of get a few games in, get a couple of ideas on how the basic units in this game work. Overall, very interesting spot. Love the fact that Mohawk took the time to put that into the game. Going on, taking a look at some of our stats in the game. Let's take a look at worker production. So not a lot of workers produced for the families. That's actually very interesting considering the fact that we're on turn 22. 2 workers. 3. Wow, yeah, that's it. I mean, we're going really fast here. We are choosing not to build workers first. We are choosing to double down on settlers, and you can't really argue with the results because look how many cities he's claimed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we didn't let this particular one lapse, that would have been 7. So we are getting up a risky, a very risky pasture right here, right in the clear view 2 turns from now of being open to attack from barbarians, which it certainly will, and likely to be early rated. So definitely a risky pasture here out of Sion, and we are potentially moving this militia into position. It'll help out with the clear time. Okay, so we are able to see into his territory. I would like to see this scout move further, because just because you know where his city borders are does not mean you know where his military is. And taking a look, you're comfortable here. You know, he's weaker and naive to your position. So I suppose if there ever was a time that you're, as Babylon, extending for that center of the map, it's right now. This is a very interesting map, and we haven't had a chance too much to actually discuss it. The Lush Coast Desert map. It is a mirror map, not point sim. So this split is going to be right down the middle here, matched on either side. And it does seem like we have, of course, the Lush Coast. That's going to be going all the way down, but it extends deep. There are island territories off here. And this vast open wilderness that you're going to have here in the south is something you're either going to have to contend with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 call sites. They're going to raid somebody. And on the flip side, it looks like we are dealing with the Scythians. Now, Sion's already declared war, and these Scythians are gearing up now for their 4th unit. So we could be seeing raids come out fairly soon from both of these tribes. And have we met? No one's met the Gauls yet. All right, so I don't know that. Maybe someone can shout it out inside of chat. What happens when a tribe raids, but there is no nation to chase? If a tree falls in a forest, do you still get screwed up on your economy? Let's take a peek over at chat. UAG are very cool at clearing. I like them, but I don't know how much to play them. We will see. Making more particular strategy videos aren't high on my list, but there is a UAG video out right now. Whoa. Death sound. What died? Did we lose a horse? No, the horse is alive. All right, I don't know what died. Scary. No, we're killing a new matted skirmisher. Okay, clearing up the last of this site. Very good. And yeah, still in a nice position for Babylon. Now, granted, we are looking over at the cities. It is 5 to 6. But we have developing now, and we are going to be chasing very quickly into strong. By turn 19, we're going to have access to strong. Or in 19 turns, we'll have access to a strong level of culture that can easily be pushed further. We have access to more apprentice acolytes that could be getting in here for additional 2. We have dies right now that can be traded back to the capital. You can really push these numbers. Those 2 things alone, an additional 4 culture here, would be a 20% increase. So a 20% decrease on this would be shaving, what, 4 turns? Around 3-4 turns earlier that you could get access to your unique unit free technology card. So, I mean, granted, These are all things that I like to take into consideration on science racing nations, because you're going to... Ooh, rough spot. I think you got to back off here, Sion. This is going to be a tough one for him to clear. These units aren't particularly strong on their own, although I really got to say, these guys are hitting hard. 7 damage? Very nice. But they do better when they're able to flank. So if they aren't able to flank because of this interesting choke point on this tiny little... what would you call that? It's not a peninsula. On this tiny little strip of land, they aren't going to be able to do their full power here. But we're saying, screw it. We're going for it anyways. 3 damage, 4 damage, a turn only. And with 10 left to go, you can survive 2 more turns here. But you're not seeing a kill on the next turn. So, I don't know. This is dubious. I don't know if he's going to have the gusto to push through here. We might have to swing down your militia. It is here in the right spot, but it's guarding this. Step Warrior coming out in 2 years. Step Warrior coming out in 3 years. So we are gearing up for that stirrup strategy. Making great progress on our way up to it. Spoked Wheel already in the bank. Taking the free stone card as a nice little pivot. Ignoring these other trapping composite bow administration that are not part of our strategy. So very much enjoy his tech choice here on the quick stone boost. 0 stone in the bank, 0 stone in production, and 0 stone researched. Oh no, he does have stone cutting. Okay. So he took the time to get stone cutting, but he's not making stone. Interesting, interesting. All right, using an extra horse up here in the north, as opposed to aiding the situation down here where we already have that settler. A bit of a juggle here. I expect we'll probably see this settler turn back around, maybe hit this coast to come up to the north, because they're going to have an easier time clearing this together than this. These 2 upgraded horses, even with the general, are going to have clearing this site. It's going to get a new unit in 6 years. They can't get in here to really do enough damage. That would be 3 damage here, 3 damage here. 6 turnover turn is still going to take you 4 turns to kill. It's not fast enough. But we are starting to get, though, that nice little science boost. We're starting to get these monasteries down. 4 science in each. That's going to be a nice little pickup. Don't get me wrong. The majority of his science right now is coming from that cleric city and his king itself. But Saketa, yeah, producing a good amount of science. And it's really just the heavy lifting coming here, plus the governor. 42% increase on this overall 8.5 subtotal. Very nice. So a good 5 wisdom governor here. A nice little tactician. That's got to be a courtier. It is, and an intelligent one at that. Oh, what a scoop. All right, so a fantastic little pickup for Siontific here on his overall game. Let's check the game state on Babylon. Researching stone cutting before turn 30. That's not Sion. That's an imposter. I am inclined to agree with you. Sion has bragged about basically having victories with never even touching stone cutting on certain nations, of course. UAG being one of them, typically. So I am curious as to why he chose to pick up stone cutting in this map in particular. It's not really something that lends directly to his strategy. Could he be looking at wonders? Wonders. We have the pyramids. Not really in his strategy because he's not going for laws. Oracle would work, except for the fact that he's going to be getting all of the holy cities. Hanging Gardens would be exceptional, but we're not building any of these yet. I wonder maybe if he's thinking a late game Jebel or Ishtar. Both of those could be very good on a UAG map, so I wonder if he's keeping that into consideration for going stone cutting as early as he is. Even the major infrastructure that he's looking for science, yes, he's going to be able to build barracks right from turn 1 because that's a UAG thing, but his monasteries themselves are going to be made of wood, so they don't even need the stone production necessarily. Knowing Sion, it's Ishtar, it's very possible. It's very possible. But we haven't seen him build any quarries yet. So I'm not completely geared into the idea that he could be going in that particular direction. But it is very possible. We have some nice production going on right here. We are still working on our acolytes. So we are pushing that culture. I do like to see it. We put our dyes in Uric, though. So just want to kind of get our Hunter City up to a developing level of culture. Makes perfect sense. If we are going for a 4 or 7 law timing, we definitely want to make sure that we're getting our culture up, because you don't just need science to unlock the text. You don't just need civics to unlock the laws. But if you don't have the culture level to produce the units in the first place, it doesn't mean a thing. So if you want those sentinels, you're going to have to work for them. And there's no other natural culture in this city. In fact, a great access to culture for this city would have been access to this shrine, the Underworld Shrine, which gets additional adjacency for volcanoes. So I do typically like to save this particular shrine. It's great use in the capital, culture rushing in your capital. Obviously, I was just talking about how excellent that is. I am not knocking the strategy, but I would say that saving that for a martial seat that might have a little bit of a harder time getting its science online could be worth it. Still committing on scientific side to taking a look over here. It's looking better. 3 years until we have yet another unit coming out, though. Obviously, I do think you'll be able to clear this in sooner than 12 years, but that's a long time for this settler just to be hanging out. Do we have any other settlers on the way? We do not, so we're committed to this site, even though it looks like we're going to lose this step rider. Oh no. Loss of a step rider. And building militia. He's just going only for growth stuff. I mean, I guess, Scion, if you can hear me in the future, it is, think about freedom. I know you don't necessarily need it for this strategy, but I just think it is, because, you know, it's slowing down your tech. It's going to be slowing down a lot of your stuff. But if it gets your, you know, your disciples and your Brahmin out a turn faster, it's not so bad. Keeping great eyes on the Babylonian player here in the center of the map. We are doing an okay job of clearing here. 8 health left. We are taking 2 damage year over year, but we're dishing out 12. Doubled if we're able to see the critical hits here. Big hit. Honestly, you would have been able to kill this in 2 years on his warrior alone. I would have used this focus fire on the center here to just chip that down. 2 turns to wipe that out, so we're reducing the overall damage that we're coming into, and then finishing off the central site. Okay. Oh, no. Saved by the bell. Okay. Did not lose that unit. Did kill this barbarian. Fantastic. I think I am out of order of when the tribal turn is. Must come before him. And we search that technology to get that free card, it would seem like. And we have 2 fresh step warriors. So that amount of units coming out, all from growth, is going to very much change this military score map on the very next turn. We're up to 200 now from the Babylonian player, but we can expect that to jump fairly quickly. Portcullis is going to be another great increase to our overall science, and the science game keeps looking good. It is a rare thing indeed to see somebody else outpace the overall scientific production coming out of a Sage's nation, but here we are. 51 science to 41. Total investment still in the favor of the Babylonian player, that of course is going to be starting out early, but they have kind of plateaued. Taking advantage of that early science, but not really developing it at all since turn 19. We are still seeing only 41 science here in the capital. So investment does make it aggressive here. I like the additional expansion. Settler's going to come out in nearly perfect timing. Grab that extra site. All looks very good, and we still haven't met the Gauls. So does anybody know what happens? What do the Gauls do if they meet no one, but yet they need to raid? What happens? I'm very curious. All right. Yeah, Step Rider joke is real. Is militia in 1 UAG city? Okay, 2 UAG cities. So is this the famous UAG Horse Archer Rush? Yes. Yes, it is. Max Plays Games. Welcome, Max. Yes, this is. It appears to be Scion's Stirrups Rush, and it is potent. I've been on the receiving end on it, end of it several times, and well, not several times, one time, but it was enough to get PTSD, where it feels like several. But it is very potent. It is, if you know it's coming, fairly easy to not necessarily counter, but prepare for. Spears just do a wonderful job at handling mounted units. So when your entire military composition is mounted units, ooh, love this. The only way he could have gotten here is if he took the long way around. So I love that he's taking the time to get these guys in place so that before the new year is up, he's able to eke out victory here. It looks like if he wants to do this on his very next turn, he will be able to poke, finish, get this unit in on top of here, because the unit's going to have to stay in this exact spot if it does issue an attack, and heal. Now, granted, he has this additional horse right here that can run on in and do plenty of damage themselves, but still, for the flashiness of it all, I would say that that's my preferred strategy for that. The Gauls will wait until someone meets them. Oh, God. I fear for the Babylon player if they ever choose to venture south. Hopefully, they just continue to boost their borders here until they have at least some of their unique units. The horizon on that does appear to still be based off of their culture here. 12 turns now. We are looking at it, what would that be? Turn 41. Overall, what's the word I'm looking for? Strong culture. Yeah, so definitely would have liked to have the city settled earlier, to trade these tiles away from the city, whatever you put here. Maybe, honestly, another Sage's Seat, just to get a little bit of extra science. It's going to be fine enough with this marble and the urban improvements that you'll be making inside of the city, and trade these nets away back to this trader's cap, so that way it was able to rush up to its strong level of culture even earlier. They have known about this since practically turn 1. So I would say that was a bit of a missed opportunity, especially if we are concerned that much about our overall. Very nice. Let's see if he's going to rush in right on top. Yes. So now this unit is safe. It cannot die no matter what, because it is inside the city. Very cool. Love that. Like the flashiness, Scion. Fantastic. Meanwhile, we continue to boost our science. This one little ramen that could is going through and single-handedly producing 4 science a rip. Sorio and Ashen Disciple coming out next, and I imagine will build its monastery, go over here, spread religion, so this can build its own disciple, and keep that going that way. We are only taking advantage, really, of the one religion available to us. Never went for Zoro. In fact, Zoro, yeah, we do have Zoro. I mean, it never went for Judaism. So still has the potential to actually increase that further, because I'm fairly certain, yes, Babylon won't even have access to husbandry, to build a pasture, to build ranchers for another 3 years. So very clear open window for Babylon, or rather UAG, to grab a third religion, and I honestly think that they should. Ooh, annoying. You have your settler, it's on the perfect timing, but it can't get across here because of a dam. Because the dam broke somewhere. That is too bad. Hate to see it. But making the most of it, we already have our barracks down in here. Great spot to be building your apprentice officers inside of a Sage's Seat. Just get a little bit of extra oomph out of that science, and it really is going to do wonders. So I appreciate what he is doing here. Going 1-2 officers, really trying to finally pick up that both military potential as well as science score. But he's dragging a little bit behind. 60 science now coming out of the UAG. Not a lot of people consider the UAG to be a science nation, but if anyone had any doubts about that, here it is. Clerics, very much a science family in this new day and age, pushed even further now by UAG, which is, I believe, the only nation that has access to both clerics and Hinduism. So a very potent combo, very unique to this nation, and I'm very much enjoying seeing it abused. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3 nations that have a shrine built. And we're saving our 4th shrine here to keep it in the clerics. I love that. Perfect idea. Obviously, you want to be making your first one here. Getting... Oh, and a great pick, too. The Shrine of Nana is going to be the one that's going to give you extra culture. And new rangers get +1 level. So all of the horse archers that you want to be developing out of your rider seat, all the free tech units that you're going to be getting directly from this huge science production are all going to come out with Saddleborn plus an additional level. Very potent shrine to have in your capital. I am not surprised that he didn't save that for another cleric seat, but then putting his other 3 shrines in cleric seats so they can all benefit from putting those additional temples from that early cleric's pick. Okay, yeah. The flood persists, very annoying. Sorry to see this for the Babylonian player. But they're doing, quite frankly, a pretty damn good job. That is an even economy if I've ever seen one. 25 clear across the board, very nice, decent stockpiles, huge amount of gold income. Internal politics situation, I'm ecstatic with it. We are friendly, pleased, and at least cautious, so everything is looking very good there. You definitely want to be focusing on your military families. It is a great thing to get them up, because if they're going to be producing the majority of your units, you want to make sure you're keeping the nicest relations with them. But their opinion is going to be dramatically increased, not by this barracks, but if they get 1 more shrine in there. We have 1, 2 shrines here, a 3rd shrine here. Have we placed our 4th shrine? It looks like we did. Barracks, shrine. Shrine. Odeon. Huh. Not certain where the 4th shrine is. Might be missing something on that. But getting that inside of his hunter's family would be a great way to boost that opinion. As we saw on Babylon, his internal court situation is being very much aided by this extra 100 opinion coming out of the Babylonian paganism. So spreading that to a hunter's family would be an excellent idea. Let's take a look back over at the chat. Wow, even getting Zoro, yes. If your opponent isn't racing for it, and not all players know to race for it against particularly the strategy, so this is going to be a learning lesson for all of us. If you're tuning in and checking it out, this is the power of, praising literally all of the gods through the UAG. So it is a phenomenal strategy. And it doesn't even seem like he's even going for Judaism. Not that he really needs it. Science still seems solid, even now with the changeover of leaders to Queen Alitum the New. Less overall wisdom here, but so that we are going to see a bit of a dip. But 53 is still a respectable number at turn 31. Finally clearing up the last of this site. And excuse me, but we haven't seen many raids. So here is the first, and it's targeting Babylon. Oh no. Okay, so we have discovered we have discovered the Gauls. We have declared war on them. Babylon is in a dangerous situation. Not only are they currently being raided by this one unit here, which is fine, not a big deal, until 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional sites start raiding you. And he doesn't even know the extent of the potential damage. The scouting is not good enough to let him know this, and he has no access to champions to be able to better defend himself. So right now we are still looking to increase our overall city holdings. We have 1 settler that hopefully we don't forget about, and we move over to get this city finally online now that we have finally been relieved of the flood. But an additional 2 settlers are going to come, but at what cost? He's noticing them now with the boat, so he knows there's this one island nation out here that also has the potential to raid. It's going to be coming directly onto his coastline, and there are units actually in the area, so he should be fine. But chaos. Chaos is on the horizon for the from the Gauls to our Babylonian player. Babylon met the Gauls, I think. Any order for the schemer at least. Does Babylon already have navigation, or is it free bireme? It does appear to be a free bireme. But they might still... No, it might have been hard built. They do have access to navigation. But I don't remember seeing a bireme in the queue. Someone can maybe shout out if that was something that I missed. But we do have an ahoy here moment for the match. He is going to be able to see the rest of the coastline and maybe get an idea of what's coming his way. I do wonder if these units are going to take the time to go to sea, because this one bireme actually might be a saving grace if he's able to do some damage to the raiding tribal units in the ocean if they choose to take a naval approach, but they might just hike it across land. I'm not really certain about the decision making for the AI in a situation like that, but it'll be cool to see it live. Turn 5 settler in a new city. Did Sion get freedom? Taking a look over at our UAG player. No, not a single law has been unlocked for them. In this strategy, when you're going for the UAG, you are shooting up that one line directly through husbandry, which you already have, spoke to wheel immediately after, portcullis into stirrups, and nothing in here says anything about getting additional laws. So that is a weakness of the strategy overall, I would say. We got our raiding units. We have 2 more slingers coming online. Good, we're gonna need them. We are moving the city. We are getting that in place. Yeah, UAG is the only Hindu cleric nation without randomized families, of course. Yes, very true. So Huns are disabled, but this map has decided to give raids a little bit of Huns vibe. Yes, the tribals do seem to be undefeated as far as this tournament is concerned, the Huns in particular, but we could see a win coming out of the Gauls for the first time this season. Having to get boats in order to deal with the Gauls island is going to be a super annoying for Babylon. I agree. UAG is a lawless place. Yes, those damn horses. There is a range limit for raids, which is less than 2 camps distance. The southern camp won't raid until closer cities are settled. Interesting. So it's a 2 site difference, 2 camp difference. So because this is 1, 2, 3 away, you're saying it won't go. But then as soon as he settles this city, it's all up for grabs because it's 1, 2 away. Am I thinking about that right, Fluffy? Somebody reminded me, do you see victory points count on the first turn? So it gives map size vibe out of the turn 1 already. That is true. That is true. If you do practice your maps often enough to take a look over at the total victory score here, you can get a general idea on how many sites they are. If you look over on Map Atlas, it'll give you a range for how many city sites can be expected, turn over turn between the different map scripts. But yeah, the math behind this is insane. You know, it has everything. It has a lot to do with a lot. So I wouldn't say that it's necessarily something you need to take into consideration. We have disciples on the move. We are putting down additional Zoroastrianism, so that is going to be additional for science. Trying to get us back up to those 60 numbers. I like it. And we have the Hindu Brahmin coming down here to likely drop another shrine in here as well. We are picking up a good amount of payment turn over turn on the wood necessary to keep these up and ready, but there's plenty of chops available on this map, it would appear. Slowly cleaning up what units we can, chipping away. I like to see what I'm seeing here. Good work out of the Babylonian player. We have these units being rerouted down to the south. No threats now in the north. We do know of the Numidians. They are at war with both of us, and they are choosing to raid, so far, Siontific. But again, because now Fluffy has illustrated to me no, it's less than 2. Generally, only the closest camps to a city will raid. You do see VP to win immediately, yes. So yes, because it is less than 2. So less than 2. 1, 2. So this is just 1. So that's why it's raiding. But because it's 1, Well, this is also one, so this should also should raid pretty soon. But this would then raid him because it's closer. Okay, makes sense. Get some roads up. Like to see where the head is at for the Babylonian player. Makes a lot of sense. Babylon is not a huge order economy nation, so they are going to need those roads to make up for that. And there is no better investment, quite frankly. Oh, yep, Freemasons, snap pick over here for UAG. Amazing part of the strategy for rushing up to Portcullis is you get two fantastic cards here. Maceman and Free Onager. Not only is an Onager just a classic pick for something you want to grab as often as you can, but if you know your counter to your stirrup strategy is going to be spears, wouldn't it be nice to have one heavily veteran, great general on it, Maceman, to clear a path? I think so. Brahmins can build shrines too. No, Brahmins cannot build shrines, but they can build. Your workers have to build the shrine, but once the shrine is built and the religion is spread here, they build the temples. So I apologize if I misspoke on that earlier. That is not the case. They do not build the shrines themselves, but when they do step on the shrines, they do give a little bit of extra resources, this extra one civic to the nation. So they're not just sitting around doing nothing, eating food out of your pocket. They do give you some extra stuff. In fact, a great place to put them is for one extra science on the monasteries that they're making. And I apologize. That's the word that it is. It's not shrines. It's not temples. It is monasteries. My apologies. Taking a look back over at the scores, science production is now back in the hands of the Babylonian player, claiming the rightful role. Still only a 200 lead. Very neck and neck, going back and forth between these two players on overall scientific advancement. I would say currently that sages are going to be at an advantage for producing science overall. That is what they are meant to do. But if he gets access to all of these Zoroastrian monasteries, then we could see some trouble for the Babylonian player as far as if they are expecting to maintain an easy science lead in this game. I see a sign to don't forget. I'm not sure what we're choosing to forget here, but it is here. Byram's still here in a defensive position, maybe anticipating the fact that this might raid and protecting his overall very important coastline in his trader capital. I like the potential foresight there. We already have a site cleared right here, and one settler very interested in moving on in. We have some very low health units here, but our players don't seem particularly interested in starting any beef between each other so far in this early game. Although I suppose now we're moving into the mid game. Phalanx coming online. Yes, love to see it, Zophister. You absolutely cannot avoid to have this. If you see yourself going up against UAG, it is imperative to do it. You can keep an eye on them. You're seeing at this point in time that they have no laws passed. So it's kind of up in the air. Where the hell are they spending all this technology? They're currently considered... Interesting. Let me see it. Babylon is considered weaker, but competent. So they both are considered competent to one another. They know each other's keeping up neck and neck in science. He is very aware that the UAG player is not going for laws, whereas Babylon has one active, so not a lot has so far been forecasted or telegraphed as far as punches are concerned. It's a great way to be able to keep an eye on what your opponent is doing. Looking over at their current ability levels is, of course, a wonderful thing. You can see who's weaker, who's competent, the science and military rushes, but laws. Laws are a underrated way to keep an eye on your player. What are they actually researching? We know he has serfdom, so we know he went navigation. So what else is in this direction? Well, maybe we know if he's gone navigation, then he already has access to labor force. So phalanx could be coming on pretty soon. Or that could be a telegraph punch that we see UAG taking a look into. But that is the kind of stuff that you kind of want to be pinpointing, especially at this level of play. Yeah, monastery setting is quite useful. I agree, but I got really surprised by Brahmin could build shrine sentence. Yes, my apologies. When you yap this much, sometimes you miss yap. Would be cool to see Phalanx Rush. Yeah, just build a whole bunch of spears and see what happens. What did Sion write about Grand Vizier? Let's take a peek. Do we see any notes? We can check when the turn flips back over to Sion in case there's something that I'm missing. But point out to me if you see that there's somewhere that he left a note that I'm not paying attention to. Right here, we'll see those indicators over on the minimap. Oh, no, just in chat. They are little. Alas, the Grand Vizier had other plans. Do we have a Grand Vizier? No Grand Vizier. We're doing just fine. Perhaps that changed up his cues earlier and I missed it, so my apologies. A lot to keep an eye on inside of this game. All right, we're seeing a huge amount of science additionally coming out. Even the farmer's going to be adding 1 science. So, yeah, rancher's now coming out, so we could be seeing Judaism. Surprised that we're going for the farmer and not this, unless we already have access to that rider, or that rancher, rather. If we take a look over here, go to Judaism, we have 0 of 2 ranchers, so we're currently only building the 1. So he could go for a second one there. Could either net you some orders, net you some growth and food. Not that he really needs to worry about it. His econ is leaving a little bit to be desired, quite frankly. Beelining it down the strategy is definitely, or beelining it down any strategy can sometimes be strapped. But we're trying to counterbalance that. When you're going here, you're going to need access to a lot of wood to upgrade those horse archers. You're going to need a lot of food. A lot of food. So hopefully we see this big number go up. New leader. Okay. So was she, yeah, Rising Star event, but is now doomed and severely ill. Rest in peace. So this must have been the Grand Vizier that it changed over. But it's always fun to have access to a new tactician. And not a bad one at that, quite frankly. Especially with the additional stats from Rising Star, so we'll take that. Maceman coming out in 2 turns. And here we are, Babylon at war with the world. We got our next city down, keeping up pretty nicely in score, 8 cities to 7. Not bad, especially coming up against UAG, especially coming up against Sion. Good showing out of Zophister so far itself, keeping up in tech, keeping up in military score. Let's see, is there anywhere that he's even really falling behind? Laws he's ahead on. Aristocracy is here, which means that we finished Phalanx. Fantastic. So would love to see those upgrades coming around sooner rather than later. You have the training to get at least a couple of your warriors upgraded, but you only have the 1. I would like to see more warriors coming out as soon as these build queues finish up. Finish this forum, get access to another spear, just to boost it up a little bit. You are similar in competence, so there's nothing to be worried about, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Especially if you are dealing with raids, if you are dealing with tribals, if you are continuing to look to expand, it's time to start looking into additional heavier hitting units. Got literature from event, it would seem. Nice boost of science from events. Looks like we're doing a very nice job of just kind of overall managing our internal systems. Again, would love to see these guys converted over to the proper religion. Did we ever get that last shrine down? Still only 1, 2... Only 2 pagan cities. Oh, no, here it is. Okay, great. So the shrine is here on the frontline cities. So eventually this family will change over into paganism. Pick up only now an additional 26, but that 26 will boost it up over time. And then you can focus on making a very happy matriarch to keep everything simpatico inside of your internal politics. We have our raid coming out now from the Nomads. It has been taking a very long time for them to come up and around this corner, but here we are. Haven't seen these other two sites raid, but I imagine that's coming any day now. So it's nice to see a nice little critical mass of Babylonian slingers here in the center site for at least a little bit of protection, if not from Sion, then from the rest of the world. And we have quite a few step riders. Quite a few. How many does that bring our grand total towards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh no. Okay. We got 9 current step riders. Another, well, I suppose we have some in production. No, 9 in total. Another 1 in production. So 10 in total, plus a chariot now coming online. I'd like to see him maybe build some more chariots so we can get access to some more routing units on top of all these horse archers. We do have 2 of those. One in production, 1 currently out here. Freemason is up in 1 turn. In the draw pile is Stirrups. So on the very next hand, it's very possible that we see him get a chance to go for Stirrups. He might delay and go for the free onager. He might want to get access to ironworking or aristocracy for more science or access to a new unit. But my guess is that if Stirrups comes up in the next hand, he's going to launch on it immediately. He has a huge stockpile of units already. Quite frankly, 10 mounted units coming in on a mass upgrade all at once, if he's able to bank enough training, which at the current clip he's producing it at, is phenomenal. We have a leader now, new leader coming up across. It's going to be a hero, so it's going to be helping with our overall production in training. And it's going to be huge to be able to launch offensives when that huge hail of arrows comes in from his horse archers. He can surround 1 unit with 6 additional horse archers, have all 6 pop off, especially coming from these hills, giving them extra range, launch offensive, and then hit them all again. Insane potential right there. But he is going to be consuming a lot of his training. I would expect that he would probably be utilizing his extra civics, not being used on laws, to rally the troops, to boost that training. Would like to see him take on a few of those missions while we're keeping an eye out. But the Numidians are moving in, potentially without even raiding here. We have the units in-house, so we're not worried about that. Expansion's going nicely. We have an open site and a settler here in 2 turns. No complaints really on the overall pace of the game being set by the Babylonian player. Very nice showing. And we are coming out here now. Kind of a good time for it. I don't know if it's necessarily time to raid. You have to heal these units. You have horses up here you have to kill. You know a raid's coming out this way. There's a lot of things to take into consideration for your units. I'm not sure it's necessarily time to be setting up this lading situation here to anchor here and then make landfall. Not to mention with these 2 units that will have to hop in the sea to do any kind of real damage, can be really provoked and really taken advantage of by hitting them with the Byram that you have access to. Science agent networks are going up. Let's take a look over at our UAG player, see where they are. So currently here we have 1 agent in the capital. That agent is not producing us a lot. It is going to be a hero, so not necessarily the most impactful agent as far as acquiring additional science, but knowledge is also power, and being able to see what your opponent is doing inside of their capital is very nice. Now that he sees him building a rancher, will he prioritize getting Judaism himself a little bit more quickly? Maybe. But we have 3 ranchers actually coming up online right now. So we're going to get super Judaism. But there it is. Oh, and here is the ultimate conundrum. On Sion's turn, going for the free onager. He's delaying his overall timing attack by 3 turns, by potentially even more than that if he does not get, because in the draw pile are 1, 2 cards, in the discard pile are 1, 2, 3 cards. If I am correct, these 2 cards get drawn, all of the cards get discarded, and then it only has 2 options or 2 chances to produce here out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other options. So a 30% chance that he immediately gets it back in hand at best. It could be even worse than that if that is not exactly how the reshuffling of the tech card pile is. So he is choosing to massively delay his overall timing strategy for one free onager. Onagers are amazing, very impactful units. If you're making an overall assault, they are great, but so are 6 strength units. They are very good, and you have a lot of them. So I'm not sure if I agree with the overall onager pick. When you have access to the and yes, Sion, that is the correct choice. That is the correct choice. Absolutely, do not delay it. You have access to it at turn 50. That is a very well-timed mid-game rush. If you're able to come out with a critical mass of all these upgraded units, of which don't have to be in a particular strong city, like if you're doing a 4-law or 7-law rush, you don't need cultural constraints or law constraints. They can be anywhere inside of your borders, upgraded immediately, and then rush out. You can telegraph that punch all you want because there's not going to be very much if we do not already have spears up and ready. So this is the timer right here. 11 years is how long Babylon has to be able to produce these spears necessary to defend themselves. These slingers, I don't care if they are sentinel or not, are not going to be enough. Yes, I agree with the hero could work well in the archer push. That'd be fun to see. Not enough launch offenses in tournament so far. I would agree. I would say that the changes to the zealot, especially that, I mean, the zealot is just phenomenal. I mean, the extra heals on a routing unit is great. Getting access to the rushing out ability for their leader inside of all state religion cities is just phenomenal. So they have kind of overshadowed the hero themselves. Tacticians are always very good. Commanders, I see heroes probably getting picked more often than commanders. But yes, I would definitely like to see a launch offensive or 2 in this game. Stirrups with his current rate. No wide delay stirrups. Sadness. He needs Polis first, though, for the horses. That is true. That is true. But you can still get the horsemen. And if there are 0 spears, then the horsemen will do more than enough damage, even if they're just being backed up by these little pea shooters. But, we'll see. 67 science. Stirrups here, directly in the draw pile, so guaranteed to see Polis on the next turn. Only 160. That's 3 years. So I suppose I'm wrong. He's not going to have it by turn 48. He's going to have it by turn 51. And that's if he sees no additional science gains, which I'm not certain what we can rely on. He is clearly thinking about endgame strategy here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 ranchers coming out. This is not about Judaism. That is about the extra 0.4 orders that you're getting here. He is trying to eke out every single potential advantage that you can before this rush is coming on through. So Sion is looking at the end game. We could be seeing a very, very aggressive push coming out of him by turn 51, and I don't think Babylon's prepared for it. I think they have an amazing base. I think they have done an excellent job. I think they're thinking about religion, maybe a little bit too late into the game, but none of that is going to save them from what's coming up next. Polis is fine, but it's not going to be netting you anything that's really going to be helping you here. You got what you need. You have phalanx. At this point, I mean, granted, you can't know, right? How could you know? He is now considered stronger, so maybe if he's paying attention to this particular part of the UI, that he should be maybe a little bit worried. Zophister has played Sion a whole bunch in the off season. He told me that he has played maybe a third of his total multi-game matches against the Chaos Incarnate that is Siontific. So he is no stranger to the shenanigans that he could be facing here. I wonder if he has ever played against his Stirrups Rush, though. Units are moving around. Good shuffle. 3 damage here. 2 damage here. This slinger will survive, but it's going to be close. He's going to have to retreat it. Luckily, we do have units in the area, and yes, great. Perfect. We are unanchoring our ship, doing 15 damage a pop. Always nice to have a navy. But slingers, still more prep. That's not what you got to be worried about here. At this point, he is stronger than you. It's great you're going to be able to build those spears fast, but fast isn't now. And you need spears now. Turn 40 is about the time that you should be expecting the earliest of rushes to be coming your way. Turn 30, 40, that is like a very early, cheesy kind of rush style. So if your opponent is known for that kind of thing, I'm looking at Carthage players, then expect that kind of shenanigans. But once turn 50 hits, especially between turns 50 and 60, you need to be ready for a full military composition to be showing up on your borders. So you have to start preparing for that. And if that is coming on average in the next 10 to 20 turns, you need to expect to have it fully prepared for in the next 10. So I would like to see some spears hitting the build queues across the nation, because now we have this maceman here, and even if you get a couple of spears up, that maceman and the huge damage profile, by the way, that are going to be coming out of the horse archers, is going to be fantastic. All these kills that we're getting on these raids are only feeding the war machine. A great extra advantage of having a hero leader is that all units, well, they heal while pillaging, but they get 50 additional training per unit killed. That is all going to his stockpile. That's all sitting there. And you're going to need as much as you can. Granted, you could still spend your civics that are coming on through at 64 per turn. That's a pretty decent clip. They are producing them. So trade 100 civics for even more training, or the great events that come that can give you extra generals or extra promotions from running the rally troops mission. Excellent part of the game, excellent thing for people to keep in mind, especially when you're doing exactly what Sion's doing and preparing for your final push. We have 3 messages coming out. Still build roads, but we never did see those roads. This message came out quite a long time ago. Definitely missing out on a couple of things, and we could easily take a trader's worker and get that road network made expressly. But we're still worried about making additional ranchers. Not the worst. We're getting, extra science, food, gold, growth, but God, it's gonna really hurt when you have Judaism, because all you'll have is God to pray to. Let's take a look over at chat, see what we're doing. Can't upgrade without it, I think. Yes, that is correct. Did he take it already? I thought he did. No, Polis is going to have to come in the next hand. True Polis is in the drop pile, though, so likely to get it on a small delay. Yes, and it'll be a 3-turn delay. And that's if you don't expect any spillover technology research. It could be as much as just 2 turns, or as little as 2 turns to detour him. And that's if he doesn't get any additional scientific boons from events along the way. 1 turn to have a slinger to help deal with this incursion. The Numidians are coming on in. A long way for them to come. So this has got to be some kind of, some kind of raid, I imagine. Do the Numidians have... Yeah, organized tribal unit. Okay, so organized is on these guys. It is an invasion. They are going to start acting very Hunnic. So, oh boy. Yes, and all over the place. Just being raided everywhere. Oh no, organized tribal units. Oh no, it's all over. I mean, the game isn't over, but the tribals are. Oh, and it's coming just in time. So it actually, this tribal invasion might be the thing that saves Zophister here. Because knowing that all of these horses are coming through and the fact that he has access currently to spearmen should hopefully change a lot of these build queues into spearmen in short order. And if that's the case, that might be the actual one saving grace. But it is certainly a huge distraction to have to deal with, especially as we near closer and closer to the stirrups upgrade, to Polis coming on immediately after that. 10 turns, maybe less, and to get both of these technologies online and for the push to come on out. Turn 51, very well done, Sion. Very much enjoy the pacing, my friend. When do tribal units get organized? Yes, just in invasions. Invasions are what's going to do it. And there is the invasion that typically comes when you wipe out a tribe site. There is the tribal alliance or the tribal confederacy, something like that, that the event comes up and then all the nations unite against you. So, woof. Big hurt on that. Excellent technologies here and available for him. I would love to see a citizenship pickup. Yep, fantastic. You're still moving in the direction of your laws. We have access to 4 laws available here, 76 civics producing. So yes, we are going to, of course, want as many of our spears as possible. But when you have a huge line or a huge number of spears, they can only work on the front line of the battle. So if you have directly behind them a nice, powerful ranged unit like the Acadian Archer, that is going to make a very happy military composition for you. And then you have some 6 strength range to go up against your opponent's 6 strength range. But looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tribals bearing down on you. Oh boy. This is a scary position for our Babylonian player to find himself in. He's handling himself well. And I will say this for Zophister. I had the pleasure of catching up on his first round game. And I will say that he played exceptional. He played into a Carthaginian rush. And instead of throwing up his hands and calling it, he dug in. He got pushed back to the point where he was at half the overall city sites to his opponent. But he scienced up. He got his laws up. He got his heavy chariots up, and he did an amazing job administering that war. He's a very strong mental player. So I do expect that we will see that level of resilience coming at here from this Confederacy invasion, but it is brutal. Yeah, completely unfazed, still going for Ishtar Gate in the middle of all of this, spending your resources. Not certain this is the right way to be spending them. I want them to be spent on spears. You are looking at a UAG that is competent to you. You're seeing no laws picked up, so they're going down the center of the tree. There's 2 rush strategies that I've heard of from the UAG. One is obviously the stirrups that we're looking into. The other is battle line. But on both of those, you don't see any laws. So if you are competent, which means you are Babylon, you are producing a lot of science, you know you have 70 coming over turn, you should be expecting at least some kind of damage coming through. So here we are, first spear coming up. Fantastic. We'd like to see a couple more of them, but we're still producing more officers. Oh god, we're gonna be able to make the best units that are they're gonna show up so fast late to the party. Oh boy. Assidian invasion. I'm sorry, I don't understand the reference about the polis and the horses. Dodge rocket. So, if it hasn't already been explained by Chad, the polis is something on UAG that is necessary for them to take their step riders, their unique opening unit, and upgrade them from step rider into horse archers. It's a fantastic part of them. It's very cool. It's very unique to their style alone. So I really appreciate that it's included in the game, but it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're going up against them. If you see a Hamlet going down, you on UAG, you kind of know where your opponent's head's at. Granted, I'd be surprised if too many players really telegraph their punch like that. Polis isn't really something a tech that you want to rush necessarily. But I suppose if you are going on the strategy and you're doing the rush, picking up something that you need as opposed to another detour tech would be preferential. Okay, so Fluffy is saying tribes only organize on conquering on raging tribe level, so not happening in our tournament settings. Organized tribes are off. Competitive mode is on. Where are our tribals? Tribal level normal. So they are not raging here, but we are seeing them be organized. So organized tribal unit. Is that incorrect? Are we looking at a bug here, Fluff? To be fair, if a tribe takes a city in a duel, it's probably game over anyways. Dodge Rocket, thank you. I have the DLC, but haven't played much. I was just thinking about you. I hope you are well. I'm so happy to see you are making more content. Crazy Banana, oh, thank you. Appreciate you, man. Our Step Rider's unique unit, which don't require strongholds or citadels. Yes, so a Step Rider is not, it's a unit unique to UAG, but it is not a UU in the traditional sense that it's unlocked by laws. It is a unit that they start off with. They start off with 2 step riders right here if you're looking for the stats. Not a particularly strong unit. So if you are playing against UAG, sometimes it's best just to come at them with some early spears because there's not much they can really do about it. Still going for stirrups. I think he was thinking about going for that. I'm watching you, Scion. Don't you go for that onager. I know it's tempting, but you stick to your plan. You have plenty of power already built inside of the strategy. You do not need to delay any further. But yes, they do not need additional strongholds or citadels to be upgraded. They don't need laws to be upgraded. They just need access to both the stirrups and the polis technology. Yes, UAG start with 2 step riders, strength 3 and tribal, and the warriors are slingers. Yep, exactly. Invasion is organized. My question was about what happens when a tribe takes a city. Fluffy's point was there. Okay, heard. Does he have the resources to upgrade? It's tight. It's tight. So to do the upgrades, I believe it's 100 food and 50 iron for the horseman, 50 wood for the horse archer. He's got access to not very many chops, actually. He'd have to come down here and really get the chop game going if that was a strategy he was planning on implementing. So yes, Alcaraz brings up an amazing point. Does he have the resources for it? He certainly has the training, but the resource game is dubious at best. Fantastic, love it. We're finally getting over to our note from the early game. We are using a trader's worker that has access to surveyor, so it's able to make multiple roads a year. So we got this one guy making a highway out to the center of the map. Perfect, exactly what he should be doing. 1-2 spears, exactly what he should be doing. A warrior here. I expect that's because he couldn't afford the wood, but he can. Maybe he's just willing to pay for it to get it out 2 turns earlier. It would be a certain level of expediency that we haven't seen out of Zophister so far in this game. So I am curious to watch this one particular warrior. If he spits this out, immediately upgrades it to essentially pay double, because he's paying for the 50 iron here, and he'd have to pay for the upgrade as well. So there's potential there to get it out 2 turns faster, but that's a level of micro that I'm not certain that he is looking to take. It's possible. I don't know. Is Egypt technically the one of the best nations against UAG due to easier access to spears? Sure. You could make that argument that anybody with a closer technology to spears, I'd say Axum is also in that category. Also was starting with access to labor force right from the offset, so they can go immediately for phalanx as well. I would say that Greece is another good option because they have their unique unit that plays well into all mounted units, and they would be getting them online about this time. So yeah, I mean, there's a few ways to counter it. Also, a great counter is really any Riders Nation that wants to do a land consolidation play, because then you can spit out camel archers. And if you want to have a bad time, you can play what is it? Camel archers, 50% additional damage against horse units. So there's plenty of counters, or plenty of ways to defend yourself inside of this strategy that aren't necessarily just spears. But spears are a phenomenal, easy way to defend yourself, especially if you're going for law timings like Babylon seems to be. Sion will need to go on a chopping spree, but he can certainly do that. He can certainly do that. We have only 15 orders here. 9 are being eaten turn over turn by improvement construction. So if we bring our economy to a raging halt, we still will only have 24 orders available. It is definitely a drawback on this particular strategy. And even though he is investing heavily in additional ranchers across the board, no laws mean no access to a lot of the great sources of orders inside of this game. So Sion is going to be on the back foot in that particular regard. But yeah, we definitely need to see a chopping spree. Let's take a look and do a quick shopping calculation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 chariots. That's 400 food and 200 iron necessary for the upgrade. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that is another 1,300 food, which we are certainly not producing enough of. And half of that would be 650 wood. So we need 650 wood to upgrade all of them. Now, granted, considering the amount of distractions, considering the limited number of spears, he wouldn't need that many. Honestly, if he had 8, that would probably be enough. under the current Babylonian state. So he's not going to need to do necessarily the full upgrade. I would say 8 would probably be a good amount. 8 also follows the kind of new rule that I'm trying to follow myself, that I was taught by our dear previous champion. Can you steal Judaism? Oh, buddy, you absolutely can. In fact, did you? I think you did. No! Oh, no, yeah, of course, because I was already working about it. Oh, but that's too bad. So all that investment in those 2 ranchers, granted, it's going to be giving you that little bit of extra science, which is certainly going to help. But again, you have to take your science advantage and leverage it. Great production overall, neck and neck, and being neck and neck with Sion on UAG is a phenomenal thing. So administering his overall nation, he's doing a phenomenal job. Order economy, he has a plethora of orders above Siontific. He's going to be getting more when he gets access to divine rule if he so chooses to go in that direction. So a massive difference coming between the 2 players. As far as the orders game is concerned, the question is he going to be able to get these units in place fast enough to be able to make a reasonable defense when those horses come up over the hill? He's going to lose access to his 1 pagan having hunter's seat. Now that's going to change the overall... Oh, and yes, and they haven't yet adopted the religion. So if it actually comes in early, he might lose access to that additional part of internal diplomacy, which really could be too bad. He needs access to everything he can get. And even with those 30 orders a turn, he still is only not able to quite get to everything he'd probably want to do turn over turn. Taking the fight to the Numidians already. Well, spears come out from Egypt or Oxum very early, so they can be used for rushing UAG, even at turn 40, unless UAG has axes. Yes, and that is one of the big arguments for why people are saying to instead maybe go for a battle line rush on UAG. They also start with access to Mildril, so the line here isn't too far. You have to go to Phalanx, you have to go to then Battle Line, but it's still pretty good. It gets you access to that early freedom law that I was talking about, which is great, especially for the strategy that Sion implemented here inside of this game. And you get access to navigation, which is going to give you more civics. Overall is actually a cheaper technology to get than stirrups, because not only is it at the same level, but it doesn't have anything in this tier of the tree. So you get to skip over the 400 investment necessary to get portcullis. Now, granted, you're going to be getting a lot of science back from portcullis, but it's going to take a while for your spy master to repay that 400 science investment. They do still have access to this 1 agent network, but yes, it is still our hero, who himself is not developing too much science for the game. These science gains are coming pretty much exclusively from the UAG's religious infrastructure. Yes, I have no idea why. Maybe he was looking to get additional culture out here so he can start producing his unique unit on the front lines. That is the best guess I can really give to it. We don't see any luxuries being put here, but he does have 2 luxuries invested, 1 back in Babylon, 1 in Uruk. So he is focusing a little bit on getting these guys up to developing level culture. I imagine that is for pursuits of getting your unique unit out and available. So perhaps that was the thought process here, with no other access to any other culture. Although you could, I think he has access to Polis himself. Yeah, so he has hamlets. So he could have thrown a hamlet here and gotten access to these gems for additional culture. I mean, there were other ways to maneuver that. Obviously, I don't think he needs the extra culture in his major city here. But we are officially, as of the last few turns, many turns actually, up to a strong level of culture. In 2 years, we could potentially see the Free Akkadian Archer come in the next hand. It has a 50-50 shot for what it's competing against here. So it is very possible that we get to form some kind of defense just in the nick of time against the UAG. But that's going to come up to a coin toss as to whether or not those guys are going to get here in time, in my opinion. Because again, taking a look back over at Sion, we are looking at 3 years until stirrups, probably another 2 to 3 years until Polis, so 5 years in total, and we are still waiting on 2 years here on citizenship. So with 70 per and this card costing 250, it'll take him 4 turns, so 6 turns. 6 turns until he would be, at best case scenario, able to get his free unique unit card out. You were saying something about 8 units, but got distracted that previous champion had shared. 8 units that got distracted the previous. Oh yes, so 8 units. So the reason why I was saying that 8 units might be the potential critical mass that Sion should be adopting is that the current thinking coming out of Class Koala, the previous champion of the tournament, is that you should have a 1-to-3 ratio of units to orders. The reason being that obviously your units are going to be moving 1, 2, a whole bunch. So to be able to use them efficiently, or to have the mass effect with them, you can, of course, creep them slowly forward, but to not telegraph your punch too much, to really have the ability to use your units to the best of your ability, having that 1-to-3 ratio is his overall thinking. Now, whether or not that works out entirely, I've only seen that in a couple of games myself. I'm trying to keep that in mind, especially for my Greek play where I suffer on Order Econ. But the more I focus on it, the more it really does seem to have legs. So whether or not that is a well-known tidbit from Class Koala, I would personally advocate for it. Yeah. 3 cheers for Babylon, the bastion of civilization against the uncouth and cruel steppe hordes. Well, at least the steppe hordes have wonderful religion. They seem to be a very tolerant people, if I say so myself. PG, is that Problem Gambler? Good to see you in the chat, man. Appreciate you. I think Babylon is the holy city for paganism, of course. The icons are weird. The triangle icons for holy cities are missing currently, a bug that is fixed for the next update. Fantastic. Do love to see that. So yes, not his official seat. Of course, that was going to be back with the 2 shrines here in Babylon. So not the seat of his religion, but a one of his pagan shrine drops for certain. Spears are finally starting to hit the map. We got literally a couple. We got 2. The saving grace here for this player is that Sion is not going to be able to hit that level of econ necessary to do a massive upgrade. I know he plays this stirrup strategy also on Hattie, so I wonder if perhaps the muscle memory of being able to chop woods with your scout, with your any units that you have, might be hindering that overall accumulation of additional resources necessary for the mass upgrade. But I would say that he definitely has still the upper hand. The question is for how much longer. Econ over inside of Babylon is looking pretty strong. Could maybe use a little bit more food, but like to see the numbers that I'm currently seeing. And the gold income is huge from this trader's capital. So there is potentiality for Zophister to be able to hold this off, especially if he wins the coin toss on the next turn and gets access to these free Akkadian archers and is wise enough to take it. A serious defense can be supported here. And from his previous gameplay, I do know that he is a mentally tough character. So I would love to see him dig in and really try to survive this overall rush. Sion doing exactly what I was talking about earlier in the match. Having access to these free Macemen and giving it a whole bunch of promotions is a great way to deal with any potential spears that are going to be coming up and being a pestering nuisance. He knows he's fighting into these hills. It is hills all over here. So this Maceman is going to have an additional 25% damage coming in pretty much every single conflict it's going to find itself in this opening fight. It is brutal. In fact, as that push continues to come in, he's going to want to keep to the hills. Unless his horsemen particularly want to get some nice routes off in this open and clear terrain here in the south, his horse archers are going to love the extra range he's going to be getting up here from the hill and the higher land. We are moving to take over another city site. Settler coming out in a turn, so it is appropriately timed. By the time this guy hikes over here, we will be able to grab that. I wonder if he's going to be going for both sites here as well, have 2 axes for his overall attack into the center. That might be a bit overdoing it. Again, we should be maybe focusing on our economy a little bit more here for Sion. The food number has massively jumped up. I like to see that. Yes, look at this. Over the last couple of turns, Sion is known for this. What do you need now? He took his food income over from 36, jumped it up to 76, over double the overall production. Fantastic. Oh, and he wins the coin toss. Okay, Sion, fantastic job on your economy, and Babylon's got a true defense now. Between more spears coming on out, another 2 will bring you up to 4. You could upgrade this warrior into a spearman. You have an existing, fairly decently promoted warrior with Warden at the very least. That's going to be coming on up, and 2 free Akkadian archers leveled out in the next 3 turns, just in time on turn 51 to come out for the defense here. So this game is not over. We have a solid conflict that's going to be busting out in the middle of this map here, so we could be in for a long haul. Now, granted, I got my water bottle. I'm strapped in. I know both of these players recently just came off of round 1 in a 5-hour match apiece. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how deep this game goes. Now, while he is going to be able to mount some kind of defense, there is still potentiality for disaster. With all these additional Gauls that we were talking about, now that those cities are founded, they are now in the appropriate distance to start raiding. And some of these units, they're up to 5 strength. Not so easy just for slingers alone to deal with. Now, he's still dealing with the chaff. Only's got 4 strength units here, so that's still fine. 3 strength nomad skirmisher, so that's fine. But if he starts seeing these higher level tribes coming out, if he continues to greedily expand, but it seems that we might have pinched the greed a little bit. We seem to be waiting for something in the capital. You have plenty of resources to sell. If you're waiting to get more spearmen out, which is what I would personally advocate for. You have citizens. I wonder what we're waiting for. We're waiting 1 turn for something. Let's take a look back over at our chat. 7 horse archers and a launch offensive can probably take out 4 to 5 spears in a turn. I think Zophister is in big trouble. That's an excellent point. You know, that is going to be one of the key differences between our players in this fight is the leaders that we have available. We have the hero here. They are youngish, year 40 of age, a Highlander themselves. Oh no! All the units that are going into this fight are going to get an extra 10% from hills. And going up against shield bearers, so granted, all those slingers going to be a little bit, just a little bit worse. Oh no. Oh dear. Pain on the horizon. But yes, having a hero going into a non-martial leader, we are still on our first leader here over in the Kingdom of Babylon, and a pretty good leader. Nice long life. Got a lot of science out of him. And with the swords of the gods, quite frankly. So it's too bad he won't be able to stick around for maybe too long. He seems in fine shape. He isn't sick, but he is old. So the brave is only going to help you, but not against the archers. And loyal will give you discipline, but at least the sword of the gods will help you kill that maceman, I guess? Hard to really say. But who do we have in the wings? He is getting up there in age, and we have no clear line of succession. It's likely that the Duke would take over. He's 37 years of age, steadfast in order, adopted. None of that's really going to help. Oh, boy. Yeah, definitely in some trouble. No clear line of succession. 3 years now, going to be exactly as we counted, turn 51. Oh boy. Let's take a look over at that econ situation. We are seeing some wood production, so we are seeing some chops. Where is he chopping? It's got to be this area, clearing this out. This used to be bushier before. So any chops he can get his hands on right now is very important to his overall strategy. That is going to be enough to get 4 of your units out, but he's got no gold reserves. He should be able to sell, whatever extra he has, but he's going to need pretty much all of it. Granted, I would prioritize getting your horse archers out. They're just the better unit, especially going into potential spears. I don't know necessarily if Sion has eyes on the spears, but he does have eyes on this city. So if this council mission eventually translates over into a sword or a spear, it would be made aware. Be very curious as to what we were waiting a turn on council for. Obviously, we were very concerned about getting more economy up and ready. I would think we were trying to afford something. But the question is what? So we have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 laws. The fact that we have access to all of these and that we don't have them turned on does make me think that perhaps we weren't investing enough in our overall civics economy. This game over as Babylon, he should already have in at least 1, 2 cities. Yeah, I guess at least in only these 2 cities would be able to build the stronghold. But that really is something he should be taking into consideration. At the very early onset of the game, he highlighted all the laws necessary for him to be able to deal with this, and not taking the time to get the culture level up in at least this city, I think it was a bit of a mistake. Because if you were able to get more than just these 2 Akkadian archers, then this attack gets a lot easier to maintain. You can really hole up in these 6 urban tiles and try to, withstand. At least it's 6 strength versus 6 strength. But again, that launch offensive can just come right over the horizon and really mess up your day. Let's take a look back over at chat. Launch offensive also gives orders. Yes, 1 order per affected unit. What does launch offensive do again? It gives everybody a second attack. It's kind of crazy. All adjacent units to the hero, when the ability is activated, gives everybody, I think with the exclusion of the hero, a second attack, which I always found a little bit janky. I mean, you kind of want your best hero to be on your best unit and your best unit to attack twice, but you can't really complain with it because it's still such a powerful ability. I still think it should have, at the very least, give a good chunk of experience. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Nope, doesn't seem like it. Because it does cost you a lot of training. It does cost you a lot of training. 800 training is a huge amount, but being able to get an extra 6 attacks in from your strongest units surrounding your hero, especially when they're ranged and they're able to be utilized in that kind of situation even better, it's devastating. So we could be seeing a very powerful alpha strike coming in from this unit rush. Click to win the game. Yeah, kinda. Launch offensive removes attack cooldown from adjacent units so they can attack twice in a turn. Launch offensive wins the game if you're good. If you're a good player, and it loses if you're bad. Interesting. Did I see Mysterious Sword on Scion's leader? No, did you? No. Mysteries Initiate. Mysteries Initiate. No Mysterious Sword. Oh god, that would just be absolutely grotesque, especially considering the majority of his forces are going to be wrapped up in oh wow, very fast. Yeah, it's just right there. Just a little bit more of extra overflow science. They would have had this a turn earlier. Too bad. But yeah, Sword of the Gods would have been devastating against his pretty much exclusively infantry army. So Scion does not need any additional advantages going into this fight. Let's take a look at the political situation, see who's winning there. And Scion's not in great shape. Cautious or angry for his overall units, the majority of which, if not, no, all of his units belong to the Riders, which has got to be what's pissing off the champions for not having the biggest army, maybe. Interesting. But yeah, that's curious. To spend that much time to build all of your units out of one family and not have them in a higher level of favorability this close to your overall rush timing does seem like a missed opportunity. Granted, he doesn't need any more advantages. He's fine. Because on the tail end, we are getting an additional +5 combat strength from our Pleased family here. Oh no, this is the Hunters. Yes, most of his units are Hunters, so most of his units don't have any bonus either. So everyone's kind of going into this raw. Okay, we are attacking with his sword instead of upgrading it to a spear. That would, just give it one turn, and it can come out and be a lot more effective. Not to mention it'll be battle ready in case the war ever kicks off. You are still looking at a stronger opponent that's competent to you, and you've had a pretty solid science score this entire time. At least a little bit above pace. Granted, it has been seriously tapering off on the Babylonian player here. Looking at their overall science gains here, yeah, still neck and neck. Like these two players going back and forth with each other. And for those who missed it out earlier, Zophister has been pretty active in the preseason, and a third of his overall games have been against the shenanigans of Siontific. So if there's anybody who has been setting his benchmark on what is good, you can kind of see that he's doing a pretty damn good job of taking the pebble out of Sensei's hand here. Zophister, I like what his gameplay is here. Honestly, all in all, a couple of questionable things. The Ranchers and the late Judaism play did raise an eyebrow, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with where he's at. Granted, Doom does seem to be potentially on the horizon here, but I would say that the overall gameplay is satisfying. I definitely appreciate what he's been able to accomplish. Judaism shrines are now coming down, or Judaism monasteries are now coming down. So an additional 4 science going to be in every city that the Judaism has already spread to, which is 1. No, we have a second one, but it's not a cleric city. So got to do a little bit of spreading of that religion, but an additional avenue for additional science. We are 1 turn away. We have more than enough training. We don't really have the resources. And the resources are frankly getting a little bit worse. Really only the food necessary for 6 upgrades by the time this comes on through. He's going to have to buy the wood, so he's going to have to sell maybe the iron. So not the most expeditious mass upgrade here, but we'll see if it's enough. I mean, honestly, 6 might just get you there. It might just get you there. We can chop out all this. That's 40 apiece. An extra 160 on top of the 180 brings you to 340. Do I got that math right? Which is going to be able to give you those 6 upgrades up to those horse archers. So, yeah. Chop all this. You can chop it with your Brahmin, too. So that's more than enough units to get this out right now in this turn. But instead, we're spending our wood. We're spending our wood on nets. This is questionable. Especially with it right over the horizon, right on the next turn. And we were spending the resource that we need most direly. Interesting. Okay. Right now, remember, you can look inside the city with the agent, so Sion can see that Babylon has spear tech. Yes. Well, he's definitely going to be aware that he has these archers now. They just came up. But I don't think a spear has been present inside of these borders, the borders of this city. So I'm not certain that Sion knows for certain that he's up against spearmen. Let's take a quick look over at Siontific's view. Yeah, he's been sitting here for a while. When the spear comes out of here in a turn, he'll certainly be aware. But these guys are hidden. Most of his military movements, by he, I mean Zophister's military movements, have been here in the south. And there's no scouting out here. This scout has been here for a very long time. So maybe a little bit more scouting I would like to see out of Siontific. But it is possible that Sion isn't for sure that he has access to spears. It is possible that's still a secret being kept from him until very next turn. And that's if Sion's paying attention, because it's hard to pay attention to what's going to be in one random city that your scout happens to be around when you're that excited to upgrade all your units and probably trying to juggle the additional orders necessary to do the upgrade all at once. He is chopping with his Brahmin. Great. Love to see it, but out of orders here at the tail end. I imagine he'll probably start here, starting on the next turn. Probably wishing he didn't spend that extra 20 wood down here. But, yeah. Not a lot of distractions potentially coming out for him. We have this one little tribal raid right here. We still have some nonsense going on with these guys, but they're pretty much attacking Babylon exclusively. So if anything, these just help. Yeah. Good position. Good position for the attack. Whether or not he has knowledge of the spears or no. While it's amazing with all those steps or riders, yes, I agree. That is wild. So much flanking. Zophister lost a unit. Yeah. And he needs every single unit he can get his hands on right now. Okay. The upgrade is here. Snap pick on aristocracy. I think that's the right call. The only other thing I would potentially consider here is going straight for navigation is the cheapest source of additional orders. So maybe an ironworking pick here after all. Your science is fine. 80 at turn 51 is plenty of science to be able to start rushing down additional laws. But here comes the upgrade. So we can take a look over at these guys. This upgrade is going to cost him, yes, 100 food and 50 wood per each. So it is the numbers that we were working with on our back of the napkin math. Yep, and you're seeing all those chops coming out. Yep, you can hear that noise. There it is. Sion might be kicking himself a little bit right now. We'll see if he sells the additional iron to be able to get more units here. But we have upgraded 1, 2, 3, 4. With this many step riders to choose from, he is picking the ones with marksman, focus, marksman again. This is I wouldn't necessarily choose this one, but I guess it is the most upgraded of the ones. So he is choosing his step riders appropriately by grabbing the ones that already have additional promotions, and still has 900 training left to go. So that's going to be eaten away as he starts upgrading these units even more, because each upgrade he does is going to cost him 100 training. So he only has the training necessary next turn to do another 11 units, which is more than enough. But then that leaves him without the necessary training to be able to pull off his launch offensive. Now, granted, if there's any leader that doesn't have to worry necessarily about training production, it's a hero. Again, as mentioned before, every single kill that he's able to pull off in this coming up offensive is going to be netting him an additional 50 training, so more is coming in for the bankroll. Again, he could be trading off the 75 per turn civics to be holding, rallying the troops, get a little bit of extra stats on top of this queen. She already has all 3 of her strengths, so any additional events that are going to be coming on through will just be netting you additional stats, which are honestly preferable to just get straight courage from additional martial events. If you click on a city with an agent, you can see all possible build queue. I see. Trapped in Polaroid. You are right. It has been so long I've been in the multiplayer game, and so long since I've really worked with a strategy that utilizes portcullis. So you are correct. By Sion being able to look over into the city, utilizing his agent, he would see that spears are available. So an excellent call there. 2 more kills coming out, 2 more raiders eliminated. We still have our naval force protecting us here. And it seems things have kind of calmed down on the tribal front. Excellent job for him to be able to hold on. Still managed to grab a wonder in the meantime. Ishtar Gate coming along, so that additional shrine out here didn't really serve a purpose if Ishtar Gate's going to get you there all on your own. But this is great. That means he's going to be able to build, because his unique unit is an infantry unit. In 3 years, all of his cities will be at minimum developing culture, which is going to net him a whole bunch of events for going up to the additional culture level. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 very solid events that are coming to the way of the Babylon player that can produce some additional very nice boons that might also help in the defense. But on top of that, because he has an infantry unique unit, every single developing city is capable of having a garrison and a stronghold in it and producing the unique unit. He's been very good since the early game of getting his additional racks out. Looks like we have garrisons here in a lot of the places ready to complete this overall diamond to net another 0.7 orders from dropping that last stronghold. But I would like to see maybe a little bit more finessing here. Again, on the law situation, we only have... No, we have all 4 of our laws available. I mean, if we have all 4 of our laws available, why are we not immediately building our strongholds? So definitely something that I really wish he would try focusing on. Although, actually, no, he can't start building them because they're not developing culture. At least just start developing it here in Babylon and Murad. But yes, maybe he is waiting for this queue to come down. I suspect in 3 turns, we see a mass build of all of those strongholds. He is low on stone, but great on the overall production of it. He could sell plenty of his resources, but he is running pretty tight on his overall economy. And these roads... I don't know why we're building a road up this way, especially when we need the stone for the strongholds. Same issue as Sion had just a second ago by building those nets when he needed the wood. But yeah, a little bit of finessing we could be seeing additionally from the Babylonian player to get access to those unique units. Top of the turn for Sion and the UAG, and here we go. Oh god, we are in. We see some nice promotions coming on here from these units. We see that he's building a fort, and it's just too late. Just too late on turn 52. We'll see if Sion starts popping him off, but why wouldn't he? With 11 damage coming out of his leader, he's probably going to surround him and launch this first launch offensive. We'll see if he can clean up 3 kills. I'm not sure this is necessarily worth a launch offensive. I would probably just try to take this first engagement raw. Okay, and we're throwing around these cheesy step riders to get additional vision and enable some additional routing. I like this use. We don't care about this unit. It is not upgraded. We don't have the resources to upgrade it. We have run our economy dry on this push. Might as well use them just to muck up the gears, get into place, and add some additional damage for rounding errors on this massive route. Fantastic overall tactics coming out of Sion right now. I really appreciate what he's doing here. I would like to have seen maybe another unit dropped here, but he just doesn't have the laws for it. He is aware that spears are in the game, so with his final order left, he is now moving his macemen just 1 tick closer. Definitely the right move. But given this position and seeing what we're up against, this is where Zophister is going to have to make a decision. Do you even bother keeping this city, or do you fall back, regroup, upgrade some spears, and try to hold on? You do have access to your strongholds. You're about to prop Ishtar Gate. I would abandon the city immediately. There is no shame, and if it'll hopefully buy you 1 or 2 or 3 turns from this overall coming in. But using 1 unit to stay here definitely isn't a bad idea. 25 orders comparatively to the 30 coming out of the Babylonian players. So Babylon does have a slight lead, a 20% increase on the overall order economy comparatively to his UAG counterpart. We have a decent amount of damage, a more than decent amount of damage coming out of this guy. Oh, yeah. Okay. I like to see it, but our few rare spears are going to fall in the defense of the city. These guys are going to come in doing 7 damage apiece. Horse archers are no joke. I do talk about how spears would be a great advantage for him to bring in here because the spear does in turn 7 damage back, but he's going to lose both of these spears now. Both of these spears are going to die before getting a true kill off. I suppose they did get 1 here, but if he thinks that this is all Sion's got, he's in for a rude awakening. Is he going to build a mine here right on Sion's face? The disrespect would be palpable. I think we clicked the wrong unit, or maybe we thought that was a slinger. It is a kind of similar look to the slinger, I must admit. But no, that is not going to be able to get you the additional damage that you need, my friend. What are his Cadians doing all the way up in the north? That is a good question, PG. I would like to see those start being rotated down. He does have 10 orders left into his economy. He is utilizing this road, so maybe that's what the road is there for, but maybe he forgot about coastal movement. I don't know if maybe here, this long sea would be a better way to go about it, but I don't think the road is necessary. It's nice when he's going to be able to catch it here and quicken his pace up towards the front lines. But again, I would abandon that city. I would dig in here in Uruk. I would try to get some more units out as much as he can, but I just wouldn't even bother. I might keep the slinger in here so it can man a solid defense against everything, but I would hop inside the city. I would grab walls because you have Polis. I would rush it immediately just to make sure the city is as tanky and takes as much time to die as possible while shooting pop shots off with this frankly great slinger to really soften up these troops and buy yourself as much time as you can. We're now grabbing Border Boost. What a tech of convenience for Sion to be grabbing right now. Not going to really help you out too much with anything that you're looking for. Grab some odds and ends here and there, but your order economy is shooting straight just into this war effort, or at least it really should be. 23 orders on the clock, bringing it up to 29 now. Nice to see that continuing to kick up as the improvement construction penalty is dropping off turn over turn as these workers finish up their overall designs. Got a new ambassador on the clock. Looks like we're maybe taking a look at our internal situation. Fantastic. Fantastic, Sion. I love to see it jumping up from what was cautious to friendly in a couple of turns here. Fantastic job done all in all. 40 opinion coming out of this additional ambassador. That ambassador is a rider, which is going to improve their opinion even more. and they are in love with the oligarch, but that doesn't really help us out with anything. But it's nice to see that he has taken the time to get the additional plus 10 combat strength before continuing to administer this war. Excellent job on that little bit of internal diplomacy micro. Love to see it. We're losing workers, which means we're losing opinion with our family. And I do believe that was the Hunter's family workers. So we are losing opinion with our potentially core military mixed unit here. We will see the fall of yet another spearman. That 7 damage profile coming out of horse archers into spearmen is just brutal. It's just brutal. And yep, he wiped up this one poor guy up here with 1 hit. 7 strength on a friendly family, tough in hills. Yikes, that's a scary maceman. So yes, the horde of horse archers is certainly something to worry about here, but this is like one of the key wrecking balls that he has access to. I would throw this tactician. Yeah, you don't need the commander. You don't have a second maceman, but this tactician onto this guy just to make him basically impervious. Just run him out into the middle of the field, start whacking on these guys as much as you can, see if you can take them off of the board easily enough, and then any of the backup that's coming to strike at him that's coming from your spears and melee. So he'll be trying to be taking him down with some slinger fire, but it's not going to be enough. That is a strong unit. Swinging back around to the Babylonian turn in a second. So let's take a quick look back over to the chat. Zophister can't see any of these upgrades, right? Yes, from the viewpoint of him, anything that's coming out of the Fog of War is literally just outside of his vision. As far as Zophister is aware, this is the last of Sion's military, which might give him a glimmer of hope. But I hope he does not run further in here. And Calamity too? Oh, Doom, indeed. Yes, an Earthquake hits. And always at the worst time. But frankly, not the worst scenario. If anything, it actually softened up some of these barbs for him. It kind of did a little bit of the heavy lifting. So actually, yeah, you'll take that as less of doom, but more of a blessing in this weird circumstance. Didn't even touch his Akkadian archers out here that are coming down to try to join in the fight. Unfortunately, the Akkadian archers are of a trader's family, so we are not going to be able to get them with that additional sentinel bonus coming into this fight here. Oh no! Oh no! Yes, okay, so sunk cost fallacy. We are trying now to desperately to defend the city. Again, ditch the slinger. The city isn't going to be here in 4 years. Rush out some walls. You got 500 civics in the bank, and let's make this tanky. Buy yourself time. Build a defense here. Start building some forts here, and really try to sink in some teeth. This is a better defensive strategy. They have to come up and around this area. Overlapping fields of fire will be possible, but you can really have an opportunity to dig in here. Moving this archer forward is going to be a great way to lose it. Can Sion see it? He can. Oh, this archer is dead for sure. No backup. No one else to guard his flank. And even if they were to be able to get in a line, these are not melee units. They are going to be able to pile up on these hills, launch some attack damage in here, and they're still doing 7 damage per. Grotesque. So we are going to see the drop of one of the key positions in this defensive strategy for Zophister. That is brutal. Zophister has no stone or money. That is true. Resources do not look good enough for spamming Akkadians. I agree. A little bit more of work could have been done into getting his unique unit online in just 2 or 3 cities. But he spent a whole bunch of stone on this Ishtar Gate that I think should have instead been strongholds, should have instead been maybe some additional culture buildings. So that way he could have gotten the culture up in at least 1, 2, and especially his hunter's seat here. So that way we could have seen more Akkadians out on the board. But you're right. The wood is not there. The stone is not there. Doom indeed from all sides. Sion sees this very important unit here. He knows that it's coming out of an Akkadian archer. He can keep an eye on the total amount of units that have been spawned. And he can see the laws available to his opponent. But the question is whether or not he thinks he has more Akkadians in the bank. It doesn't matter. We are coming in immediately for the kill. Flanking damage doing 9 apiece. 9 apiece. Oh my lord. Oh no, 9 damage here, 3 damage here from this guy. And again, taking the front row. Is this less than ideal step rider? Even if this step rider takes a hit or two, if it baits this spearman to coming on in, you never want to trade a spearman for the step rider in a million years in this. Folks, check your training budget before you move. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. So now it's got to be very clear. After the loss of Atticadian Archer, that there is no salvaging Sapar. We can expect this city to fall. And now I believe the Babylonian player will as well. It's a shame because I do believe it's at least 1, 2. Never got a border increase. Never expanded out to these additional camels for a more order economy, which I think may have been a missed opportunity. But comparatively to everything else we've seen today, who cares? Coming in, moving in additional units here. We still have 1 horse archer left behind, 2 more step riders capable of being upgraded, 3 step riders capable of being upgraded. But this seems to be the majority of the force that we're going to be getting out of Sion for the time being. He is still seeing himself as just stronger to the Babylonian player. Not much stronger yet, so there isn't necessarily too much to fear. Really nothing to fear. And with this sight on the other Akkadian archer, knowing that more spears are coming on in, but seeing that from this roadway and this roadway, that there is no more units necessarily on the horizon, he feels very safe being aggressive here, reaching out for this spear. Because even if the spear returns 7 damage, even if the Akkadian archer comes in for additional 5, that's not a kill. Even if they both come here and you lose this 1 chariot, but it brings these 3 important key units up into the front of the battle, you can ignore the city, run over these hills, eliminate those units, and that's pretty much the end of the defense for the Babylonian player. He needs to come back here, fall into this garrison, get this archer maybe in the city, maybe behind on a hill. But no, if he's bringing these units to the forefront, yes, he's going to be able to kill this 1 unit, but he's going to lose all 3 of these key units in response. Step in the front was very much a bait. Yep, absolutely. I agree with that entirely. Swamp Farms, yes, would have been an excellent potential solve for the lack of wood income. Always a great thing if you find yourself on a wetlands or a very marshy overall map. It is a great way to not have to do the forestry tech because everyone grabs centralization pretty early on in the game. That does appear to be the meta. So yes, I would agree with some nice marsh farms is a good thing for Babylon. How's the game going? Welcome, Sauron. So Soren, we are doing a stirrups rush here, coming out of Siontific, voice of the tournament, and it is going very well. Came online around turn 51, rushing in here on turn 55 without too much of a response capable out of the Babylonian player. Zophister has done a wonderful job this game. Keeping up with several key metrics. It has been a wonderful neck and neck race across science production from both of the players. Military score has only recently crept out of control coming up the UAG, now with the unit upgrade. And the overall game has been seeming fairly solid. We did kind of fall apart here on not upgrading or getting access to our strongholds as early as we can, for not getting we just got the Ishtar Gate. So these cities are now officially all developing, but that was a very recent addition, unfortunately. And now that Sion can see in position, he lost that 1 step, and now these spearmen are here, so the little defense that he's able to mount is out here in the open, no defense, outside of urban tiles, not utilizing our garrison right here, where we should be really coming back to fortify, placing as much range as we can up here, maybe trying to close off this gap, grab a fort here, just try to keep at least somewhat of a strong line to be able to protect this city without leaving yourself open to too much. But the wrecking ball of this Mace Man that came from the free portcullis card, all these horse archers over the hill, 3 more horse archers capable of being upgraded if the economy is so kind. does leave him open for a position. So here we come for the counterattack after that very nice bait coming out of Sion. Let's see how he makes him pay for it. Only 3 damage coming out of yet another Step Rider, which I'm not certain about the placement of that, but perhaps he did the mental math on it and had enough of a punch backed up in reserve to be able to take out that unit with just 1 additional swing. We are again putting our units in harm's way to enable the flanking bonus and really make the most of our units here, doing some fantastic damage utilizing the entirety of Sion's army is completely... Oh no, the Force Rush Maceman. It's all Ryder's family, by the way. So they all are going to have access to extra flanking on these mounted units, and this Maceman is going to be able to be a wrecking ball against the entire infantry-only military mix that Babylon is bringing to bear. Let's take a look at how the rest of the chat is loving the action. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Soren. Sion is charging in. The gods have abandoned us, run for our lives. Yes, or at least fall back to maybe trying to make some kind of defense. He really needed to hold him here at this mountain pass, which I think would have been the only potential shining light for it. It would have been hard to play against, especially with the ability to do a launch offensive with your... leader here. He does have the civics in the bank, the training in the bank for it. But yeah, I don't see an easy way for the Babylonian player to have defended himself against this. The answer would have been a barrage of Sentinel Akkadian archers, matching your 6 strength for 6 strength, having the extra bonus inside of your city, walling off with fortified spears and really giving them hell. Sion could have come around and maybe done some damage out in these open plains, but it would have been at least a little bit more of a cat and mouse game at that point. But we didn't ever get our strongholds, even though we've had 4 laws, with the capacity of getting up to 6 laws, I believe, for the Babylonian player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're about to unlock law 6. So 7 laws is on the horizon for the Babylonian player. More science was going to be able to come on out, but it was a game that just wasn't destined to be peaceful beyond turn 50. Sion continues to do the baits. I love it. Yes, absolutely. Scouts win wars. Yes, knowledge is power. Scouts win wars. Very important. Strategy and tactics win fights. Logistics and vision win wars. I would definitely agree with that overall sentiment. 54 people watching. Go PBM. Oh, wow. Hi, people. I didn't realize I had 50 of you in the chat, but hello, welcome to the channel, welcome to the tournament. We love all of you, and if there's anybody that deserves your support in this moment, coming in and watching the stream, it's Siontific. He has been doing a massive lion's share of the overall casting, not just in this tournament, but in the last tournament. He is a great, I think the word used most recently by Zophister himself, is a great ambassador for the game, and he deserves those flowers indeed. So him having an opportunity for 51 people to come in, 53 people coming in and watching live, to watch him execute what has been a bread and butter strategy for him in the preseason is definitely due. Much appreciated. Cyananigan fans, yeah, absolutely. You got to appreciate when one of the big names come on that you definitely want everyone taking a look at it. Problem Solver from Mohawk Team. Maybe some of us were hoping to see Sion get his butt kicked. It is always fun to watch the greats fall. But it is also very nice to be able to see a player who has been crafting a strategy use it to its fullest. But yes, it is always nice to to watch one of us who mouth off a little bit too much in the Discord absolutely get manhandled. But we shall see. Here we go. Stronghold's finally coming down a bit too late. Zophister is a man to play it to the very end. He does not throw his hands up in defeat, and that worked out for him in the previous game that he played. His city has not yet fallen. He's taken pop shots off still with this slinger here, so there is a bit of a slowdown, and there is some capacity for Sion to potentially overextend itself. So this game is not over. Granted, 1 launch offensive coming out of Siontific overall on this next turn with no kills coming here would be a fantastic way to lose this game in fashion. There it goes. But we are taking off piece by piece of the board, and I think we're going to see it here. The units are falling into formation. Everyone is surrounding the leader. We have... no, not enough training. Oh, no, we are on the wrong player. We have more than enough training. Yes, we have assembled all the all the stones in the Infinity Gauntlet. Sion has the training for a launch offensive. It's going to be right there on the horizon. And another 6 attacks coming on in will spell doom for this forward force coming out of the Babylonian player. A whole, nice 34 order economy for Sion. He's going to be more than enough to administer certain doom for the Babylonian forces here. Oof. Brutal. Yep. Well, we've been saying in chat for a while now that launch offensive was going to be the push button to win game. So that might have been it. Those extra 6 attacks coming on in to completely eliminate the force here, leading to a overall 5-unit kill. Now, granted, one of those was a raider, but a 4-unit kill here inside of the city really did turn the tide overall. We are going to see him, drop down to much weaker now in the comparative military scores. So it is, it is a brutal, it is a massacre of making, and he's still dealing with some stuff over here in the back line, but it's not nearly enough of a distraction to defend for the Babylonian player here. Taking a turn now, turn over turn at our military graph. Let's see what it's looking like, and it's a cliff. Oh man, dropping from 716, which was a decent part of way. You know, he was just being seen as stronger right here on turn 52, but when Sion jumped up, and it immediately led to his downfall. So it was a punch that was potentially telegraphed, depending on your game knowledge of what scientific advancements are available to the UAG player. But UAG are new. They are certainly new to the tournament, being coming from the new DLC. Fantastic, very unique play style available to this nation. So shout out to Mohawk for once again leading to even more improvements for our beloved game. But shout out to Sion for being one of the first people to at least explain to me the stirrup strategy in general. It is a very interesting game style. It is not my typical. I'm a big 4-7 law guy, so abandoning all laws for the lawless, only God fearing people of the UAG is a certainly interesting opportunity. Let's take a look. 54 people watching. Yes, yes, yes. Burn, burn, burn. Wasn't Aaron's trouble enough for you? This must have been a turn to launch offensive, surely. Yes, we all got to see that in together. Thank you all for being here. And still waiting for the next video for your multiplayer series. Dodge Rocket, come on, man. Let me finish this one video, and then we can work on the next one. Great casting, great game. Good show from both players. Absolutely. Fantastic showing from both players. Good showing from Zophister, quite frankly. I really appreciated his gameplay. He missed one thing. It was the strongholds. Prioritizing his, frankly, prioritizing maybe sovereignty earlier, because if you find yourself lacking in civics, and that's the thing holding up your law rush, going to sovereignty to get access to the civics boost card is a great way to clear that out. But if he juggled his civics a little bit better, juggled his stone econ a little bit better, and got these strongholds down 5-6 turns earlier, we could be seeing build queues of Acadian archers all throughout his territory. Now, granted, there's not a lot of wood available, but there are plenty of chops. Now, granted, those marsh farms that we were talking about earlier, they're not even in his borders, so these 4 here won't be doing too many favors for him. But there was potential here. There was absolutely potential in his game for him to give Sion a run for his money when these horses came charging on in. A series of Sentinel Acadian archers is a horrific defense to be coming in, and going 6 strength against 6 strength is not what you want to see for a mid-game attack. Great cast, great game, bam, and it's gone. There is metaphysics. Maybe Zophister can get a religion now. He's got bigger fish to fry. All right. Only 400 training now, so we are only going to see one flashy launch offensive coming out of Siontific, but quite frankly, it was a wonderful one and perfectly timed. So we are going to surround the city, likely be able to bring it down this turn. Yes, with the flanking bonus, 12 damage coming out on his hero unit. seven overall strength. Very well upgraded unit. And the city drops. First casualty in city-wise. Skipping over Sapar here in the middle, leaving that just to be a quick little speed bump as these horse archers race over this middle hill, but not for much longer. It looks like we're going to plow out that speed bump, really level it. Doom coming from the matching volcanoes at Etna. But I think this is mostly a sign of victory. The gods approve. They certainly like their fire. After action report, the stone used for the wonder could have been his strongholds. Yes, yes. Mirroring my own thoughts exactly. Wonders are great if they're going to be impactful. The Ishtar Gate, phenomenal. If you're going for a wide strategy, want all of your cities to all of a sudden jump up. We've seen that used phenomenally in the previous game. In the previous tournament, I remember a particular game where tournament champion Klaus Koala got like a 9 events from a culture level upgrade from his Ishtar Gate. So a fantastic showcasing of that. I don't know the game off the top of my head, but it was one of his first 2 matches. And I will say that there is a time and place for certain wonders, but when you are using that stone and you are going for a 7 law rush, you better have a lot more quarries than we're currently looking at. I mean, it's necessary. If you're going to be doing that much of a spend on this Ishtar Gate, which, don't get me wrong, solved his culture problem, but he had other avenues to solving that culture problem. We could have gotten more pearls and dyes up earlier. We could have sent those over into this city as a higher priority. We could have gotten the religion, which was never put into the city. So no paganism in here. We could have focused on getting Zoroastrianism a lot earlier. We could have focused on getting Judaism a lot earlier. We could have gotten metaphysics, I guess, if you really wanted to go for religion. But there's other ways of getting access to additional science or access to additional culture than going for Ishtar Gate. And by going for Ishtar Gate here, he took away the stone that he could have otherwise utilized for his strongholds, which would have added to his order economy, and most importantly, unlocked more Akkadian archers that really could have potentially made a difference here. More spears are coming in, adding into the wood chipper. They are not going to be able to save this city. Again, I think it might have been in a better position falling back, but this might just be a last-ditch effort coming before a surrender. I will not count Zophister out because he does not count himself out. He held out to the very last in his previous game and was able to grind out one of the better comebacks that I've seen in the tournament so far. So I am assuming he's bringing that same level of mental toughness over to this match. But if Sion is able to do what I know his skill level means he's capable of, this war administered correctly will be over in quick order. Getting some kills, narrowing the forces here, but again, he has the capacity to drop 3 units easily. Switching over to him, yeah, definitely not training for it, so yep, 3 units are going to drop here pretty easily. 1-2 bang, 1-2 bang, especially if we get trapping 1, and do we have a third? Maybe if you force rush this in, you could also get another a third kill here, so it's possible that we lose an additional 3 units here on the Babylonian side coming over on Sion's next turn. Excellent gameplay, just an excellent tournament. Thank you, Dodge. Appreciate you. Yes, excellent tournament. For those of you coming in, for those of you checking us later on YouTube, please follow the tournament. Please follow Siontific. Please follow all of the content creators, all of the community organizers that are coming together to put this tournament, because it really is about you guys. We are here for you. We are here to make sure that this community continues ticking on, so Mohawk is forced to keep providing the amazing service that they have thus far to this game. But that is exactly the idea. The more of you that show up, you guys really make all of this worth it for us. Because a lot of work goes in behind the scenes. A lot of work goes in behind the scenes. And being able to share that with you is truly special. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for tuning into the game. And blood for the Blood God. Alcaraz was about 4 turns from losing a modern major general and somehow pulled it off. Also needs order strongholds. Get you those too. Yes, I agree with all those sentiments. Very nice. Okay. The pressure keeps on keeping on. The economy is still in the positives over here. We are slowly recovering. Not a lot that we are able to throw necessarily at the enemy again, but we have another 1, 2, 3 steps available here. This one's a full-on horse archer. This one's a horseman, so more reinforcements are able to be brought out to the front of this battle. We have more horse archers and another chariot down here, another horseman, so there is no shortage of units available. We are getting raided here, but this horseman will make short work of these guys. 12 damage out in the open field. You bring in one horse archer to soften them up. Oh no, this is a step. This is a step. If you bring one horse archer to soften them up to do 10 damage, or even maybe just provide some flanking, he will be able to at least cruise through all of this with just one supporting unit in 2 turns. So very little that is capable of distracting. Plenty of reinforcements coming in. The tide is against the Babylonian player, but I respect the resilience. Alcaraz's match versus a modern major general was a great match. I actually missed that one. There is so much content. Don't burn yourself out, guys, but do. I mean, join the rest of us in the burnout. We love it. The whole idea is that we really want to watch as much as we can, take as part as much as you can, because that's how you get better. That's the best part about this community, is how much everybody here is willing to learn and work together and really improve the game and really shake up the meta, frankly, turn over turn. Like this stirrup strategy, this was nowhere last year. And there isn't much that changed to facilitate it. You can pull this off on Persia, you can pull this off on Hattie, and frankly, Persia is probably another great opportunity for it because they also have access to clerics, so you'd be able to do the Zoro thing, which sometimes you just get for free on Persia. But yeah, I would say that there's definitely other nations that could have taken advantage of this strategy last year, but you didn't see it anywhere. And I do think that this strategy is going to get a lot of play this season. I think I don't think it's been showcased so far in the tournament, but this has been talked about a lot behind the scenes on the Discord. So I do think that showcasing the strength of it here is going to be an excellent opportunity. Now, granted, there were definitely opportunities that Zophister could have made this more of a match, but going, even with the tactician, which, congratulations, welcome King, Kadura, and Neil the New. But yeah, I mean, with this hero in there, it would have been hard, no matter what the situation was, to really get a true defense going. I know both of these players came off of a 5-hour match, and let's take a quick look over at the stream. How long have we been going for? I can't tell. Don't really know. Don't particularly care. I'm having a good time. I'm here for as long as they are. And it looks like we are trying to form a defense. Yes. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff I am looking for. Get in here on this garrison. Before you were doing 7 damage, now you're doing 6. It's not saving you a lot, but if you spend 5 years here digging in on fortification, that's going to give you even further defense. And you can just heal inside of here, get another guy here adjacent next to you, maybe build a fort, try to build a little bit of a wall, maybe even use the city itself as part of that wall. Hug this mountain, so that way you have a nice little buffer zone where you can block off these 2 with forts, this wall with forts, and maybe try to hold a defense here in Murad. Now, granted, that should have been done before you tried to defend Yurik, before you tried to defend Sapar, but there were avenues here available. Okay. Just going for the extra camel archer here. Why not? Makes perfect sense. Definitely a little bit of a win more unit. But hey, listen, there's not a lot. I don't think this game's going to last much longer. So if you can grab an extra unit in 3 years, that's going to be a better power spike than anything else you're going to get in the tech tree at this moment. His other options were what? Ironworking. Still think ironworking might have been worth it. Chasing down the top end of the tree to get access to navigation and serfdom for an extra 5 orders would be a pretty solid increase percentage-wise to the order economy that Sion has. But there is nothing He knows that we're down to the bare minimums where we're healing workers, we're converting workers over into militia. Sion is able to rush in without healing, without taking time. Could even abandon the city, quite frankly. You don't need to hold on to this, or you can bring step archers in from the back to the front to be able to more readily hold these cities, so you don't have to use your main core units. But there's nothing standing in his way now at this point. We are seeing him as much weaker, still competent. Graph shows what? Military score is in a plummet, a light little boost up. Maybe some sunshine, but at a overall difference of 1 to 3 in military strength, being 300 to 1100. That's close to 1 to 4. It is impossible, I think. Tactics, logistics, the wrath of God aside, I think it is. I think this game is pretty much in the bag unless Sion goes through and disbands all of his military. But again, good showing from Zophister. Everybody watch him. Watch him in this tournament, because with a little bit of additional fine tuning, especially on this Law Rush, I think he would have been. I think he has the opportunity to be a very strong contender. He's got 6 laws currently out and available to him. Sovereignty, I think, was on the horizon, so 7 laws is right there. So a turn 60. I mean, yeah, sovereignty is right here. A turn 61, 7 strength Law Rush is nothing to snuff at. So he could be having 6 or 7 Acadian archers that could be all being upgraded right now or in one turn. Granted, that would involve a judge or a builder where you're stacking units to really get that citadel out quickly. But it is so very, very strong. Oop, I am getting a couple of calls from the wife. I'm going to send a quick text to make sure it's not an emergency. And if it is an emergency, I will abandon you all shortly. I do apologize, but I do think that, yes. GG, perfect timing all around. Much appreciated. All right, fantastic. GG players. Hop in Hanging Gardens. Wow, what a game. What a game. And again, yeah, I'm really impressed with Zophister. Really impressed with his gameplay. He's right there with a little bit of fine-tuning on that balance. On that balance beam for that 7-law rush. He's got something here with this Babylon. It's not by any means a bad showing here. I actually very much like it. Okay, I'm going to go hop in the Hanging Gardens. And we're recording. With the powers of movie magic, we're going to be able to bring you guys the end game interview from both of our players here from round 2, Siontific versus Zophister. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you for taking a little bit of patience and time out of your day to spend. How long did we play for, by the way?
Just under 3 hours, game? It looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, 3-hour game. Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, considering that both of you are coming off of a round 1 5-hour game, I was ready to sit in for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, we tend to have pretty quick games where we practice, too. I've practiced probably the most with Zophister out of anybody else in the last couple months. And it tends to be anywhere from 3 to 4 hours, I think, usually.
Yeah, I think we both play pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the opening turns flew by, and even more than that, it's actually very interesting that you guys have spent a good portion of your multiplayer games skirmishing off against each other, because it shows. If like Zophister, being new to the multiplayer scene, is setting his benchmarks off of you, Sion, the science game and the science map goes a long way to showing exactly that trend. I mean, if you guys are taking a peek on your end, it is neck and neck the entire time, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I really I was seeing that after the fact. I had a worry about Babylon. I think in a weird way, even though it's not it's not immediately apparent to most people. I think Babylon is one of the nations that can kind of counter this rush strategy because their science is so strong. So it kind of dampens the culture rush, not the culture, the cleric rush thing, and so even there, Babylon's not really like a religious-based nation. Um, yeah, I would basically, long story short, I was worried about his science output and him getting too much of a lead there.
Absolutely. Zophister, considering the fact that Babylon's one major way of taking advantage in the game is that science rush, and one of the counters to a lot of what UAG brings to the table is horses. The counter to that is camels. Did going up the center of the tree towards a land consolidation play to get access to camel archers, was that ever part of your thought process? Because you locked in 7 laws as far as your your science map was concerned. I was just wondering if you ever considered changing up strategies.
I never really looked at land consolidation. My plan was to just try and get to unique unit spam, and didn't quite pull that off. But the idea was to get to unique unit spam and just be able to outshoot the horse archers. Didn't quite pull that off, but yeah, camels would have been a good idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, absolutely. Honestly, I thought that's what you were going for when you went for such the hard push to grab the center of the map. Aggressive play for Babylon, which is not typically the aggressor in a lot of those cases. They're a lot more of a turtle up kind of nation. So props to you for really going for the center of the map early in the match.
Yeah, I had a feeling he wasn't going to do land consolidation, and I'm glad that you didn't, because I think that would have been a mistake given the map that we had, because there's just no way I think I would have allowed... Sipar is the only location apart from even deeper into the map that can build camels, and once I figured that out through exploring, the bulk of my side of the map, and I had noticed that you had already taken Sipar, I was like, all right, so if I'm going to do this, there's absolutely no way I can allow him to get camels up and running. So even if... I feel like if I had clocked in any capacity that you were going for land consolidation, I probably would have attacked even sooner, even if it wasn't a good idea. Well, so actually, maybe that would have baited me to make a dumb mistake.
All potential. I mean, I could say that Babylon could typically, full out racing down the land con play can get there around turn 30. So
yeah.
So if you saw those going down, or you saw a couple of camel archers popping out, you'd be curious to see if how that would have changed the entire scape of the game. There was one piece of critique that I did want to bring up with Zophister in regards to the Ishtar Gate play. Phenomenal choice there to get to fill up on that culture gap that you were missing across all of your cities, so that way you could mass produce that infantry unique unit. But did you find yourself missing out on the stone that would have been otherwise present for your strongholds?
Honestly, the bigger issue with strongholds was that the law timing felt off, and by the time I would have been looking to put my strongholds down, I was already locked into combat. As where I felt like I didn't find myself hurting for the stone, because I was never really in a spot where it was time for me to put my strongholds down. I did feel like Ishtar Gate was an opportunity for me to unlock rushing across all those cities. But yeah, didn't miss the stone because I didn't have the opportunity to miss it yet.
No, fair enough. I mean, honestly, you had your hands full. The massive, was that the Tribal Confederacy event that led to the all tribes invading you all at once?
No, that was just I was at war at all of them with all of them from the beginning of the game, and never really pieced them out. And the timing just worked that way.
Well, there's something that geared in where they all switched over from just normal tribals to being an organized tribe, to the point where it wasn't just raiders coming in across, but it was also just the raw tribal units, not set up for a raid, still going well out of their way to drive themselves into your borders. So there must have been some event at some point that one errant mouse click and led you to a lot more distractions, which I would probably attest to what threw you off for your overall law timing, for your overall civics timing. I mean, you add a timer on the gameplay, you add all that stress behind all the various tribals you had across every aspect of your border, and still manage to eke out this level of gameplay is very impressive in and of itself.
Thank you.
Not really a question in there, but I did just want to make sure that was passing around. Honestly, you're one of my players to watch. I appreciate the mental toughness. I appreciate the sticking it out even when the times seem most dire. I had a chance this morning to watch your Hattie versus Carthage game where you really dug in and managed to pull out probably one of the better comebacks that I've seen. So I'm keeping an eye on you for the rest of the tournament. Props, and I hope to see more from both of you. Is there any final commentary that you guys want to share about this game? Any moments that you think I might have missed?
I built one quarry all game.
Oh my gosh, are you feeling okay?
Yeah, no, so mostly, I think it's easy, once people do the post game chat or maybe listen to this or hop on the Discord. I think it's going to be very easy for tons of people to point out all the different ways that the strategy that I used could go wrong. But I can tell you right now, all the different ways that people are thinking that the strategy could go wrong are totally valid. I think I was definitely running out of time for a 7 law timing push against Babylon, and that certainly would have thrown a wrench in things. But one thing I just kind of wanted to do with this game was just kind of show that it is a potent and potentially viable strategy. There's a lot of power to it, especially with the USA, but even stirrups in general with other nations. I've done something similar with the Hittites. And what makes it fascinating for me is that since basically horse archers are essentially archers that are more mobile, right? They do 6 damage instead of 5. They're super mobile. Of course, they're a little bit shorter range. And if you have a rider's nation, you also have that flanking bonus for an extra attack potential there. And what I find interesting about that is that your economic needs become incredibly different, especially when you're playing the USE and you can get so much science from clerics. Because if you think about it, all of the things that you need to pull this off are literally just food and wood. You barely need metal, you barely need stone. And so, what I found interesting while I was exploring this is every time I played these guys and tried this particular strategy again, I found myself cutting out something new each time. Like first, I wasn't the first time I ever did it, I got laws. I got aristocracy and centralization. The second time, and then I was building quarries, right? But then one game I stopped. I thought to myself, I guess I don't really need any laws, so I stopped getting laws. And then a different game, I thought to myself, do I really need to build any quarries? So this was a filtered process down to the bare minimum of how quickly. And honestly, I still even considered this a little slow. I think I've done the stirrup rush as early as turn 45. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to show off that it's kind of like an interesting way where the USC can play almost a completely different game, and they don't worry about urban improvements. If you look at my specialist too, the specialist produced, I have 16 specialists in the Empire, and 11 of them are ranchers. So in terms of build cubes, I was just putting citizens in the rancher for the extra order. And yeah, it's a really, really unique, interesting way of playing. It's a little bit of, I think it's high risk, high reward. I think it's volatile. I absolutely had this strategy shut down, and actually by Babylon of all nations. So I was a little worried when he first picked Babylon, and I almost didn't pick the USD, but I really wanted to show off the strategy anyway. So I'm glad it managed to work out.
Well, I love that. I love the ideology behind building your game strategies. It feels like that scene in any like Formula One movie where the driver is like, okay, you got to rip out this extra wheel, you got to rip out like this extra weight, we got to get the race car moving as fast as possible. So carving out those extra things that don't necessarily fit exactly into the strategy, I really do appreciate.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, a very cool game. I think like a couple of things that like just jumped out at me is that for many turns, you were almost exclusively building growth style units between builders, settlers, step riders, and disciples. I know you've cut out a lot of laws, but do you think there's any room for freedom inside of
Sure.
this strategy?
Sure. I think honestly, especially it depends on who you're up against, because I think if I was up against a Roman player, especially, I probably would deviate and get iron working. And then, yeah, I think even if you don't get freedom, I'm always thinking about how slavery is such a really good law with this rapid expansion style. And then considering the low cost economic needs of the empire, building only one quarry when I don't even have slavery is one thing, but you'll make so much stone off of slavery that it's going to float you for the entire game, since again you don't really need it all that much in the first place. So I definitely think about labor force in particular quite often. Um, but yeah, what ends up happening is it's a timing thing, I
Yeah.
guess. I always worry that, turn 50 for the stir-up timing is going to turn into turn 65. And if that happens, depending on the player and their situation, I could already be up against 8 strength units. And I need that like extra 10 turn window where I have a crap load of 6 strength units, like an ungodly amount, before they either even have their 8 strength unit or potentially even have many of their 6 strength units. So that for me is why I kind of have just cut out so many things and just go straight for with a power spike.
That makes perfect sense. I definitely get that understanding. I mean, it would be an additional 260 science. So even if it did help you get your science up earlier, how long is it going to take before that early science is really going to pay off to produce that 260 science that you're then falling behind in pacing? So that makes perfect sense towards the strategy.
Yeah.
Question for you, Zophister. I hear you talking about your difficulties with getting that 7 law timing up. One question that does come to mind is if the civics is really going to be one of the key bottlenecks towards you, especially when you're playing Babylon, who wants to be making a whole bunch of urban specialists, and you did a lot of early officers coming out. Really like the nice tech rush that you had, especially in the early game sprint. Why not try to angle for Constitution earlier in the game? You're grabbing it right now for law number 7, but I feel like it would have paid dividends.
Definitely wanted it earlier. I don't know where my opportunity was. I'm not quite sure. I think I had it maybe presented to me one other time, and I might have taken Mill Drill over it. Um,
Yeah, you
I'm
you
not
had some
quite
options,
sure.
but it's not necessarily sovereignty that I think was stopping you. I think it was the lesser techs along the way. Trying to grab aristocracy, I think, was delayed in exchange for going
Yes.
for labor force or navigation, which chasing growth and orders. Great idea in Babylon, so I can't fault you for that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he developed very well. I got nervous about that too. Became very apparent how quickly and easily you had, the little barracks garrison um, triangle lined up in many of your cities, and you got serfdom super early. I don't know what was up with that, but I feel like you had serfdom as a first law on like turn 18 or something crazy. Um, and yeah, so I actually there was a point, and it turned out that this was actually correct, but there was a point somewhere in the mid game where I'm like, I bet you he has more orders than I do, which is kind of funny because you're Babylon and that shouldn't really be the case. But as it turns out, you actually had more orders than me for quite a while. Um, so that's kind of funny. So yeah, I think he did a very good job developmentally.
Yeah. The laws like came out in the wrong order for sure. Like I think I ended up taking serfdom as my first law, which wasn't quite feeling ideal. And then I got in a spot where I had an ambition to take divine rule with like a 63-year-old ruler,
Ah,
and went to pop that and realized that I didn't have centralization yet, and it was
Mm.
pretty late. And I thought to myself, oh, I've really mucked this up. I lost an opportunity for a whole ton of science.
that's
Um,
so funny because even when I looked, I only checked your fifth law relatively recently, and when I noticed it with divine rule, I kind of had a that's weird moment. So that's kind of funny that it was the ambition that caused you to deviate like that.
yeah, like definitely divine rule wasn't what I wanted to be taking there, but I wanted to get the ambition, and that was maybe greedy.
Yeah.
Um, so
Ambitions can be tricky, man. They can throw you off course. That's why I'm very selective with my ambitions. I say no to probably like 40 to 50% of the ambitions that come across the table for me because if I don't think I could do it in like the next 12 turns, I want nothing to do with it unless it's one of those events that like, it's going to give you 80 culture or it's going to give you 100 wood or there's going to be some weird payout for
Mm.
accepting the ambition. And then I'm willing to trade the legitimacy for it, accepting the fact that I might have to get a legacy or fail it. But otherwise, I am super, super selective with my ambitions. I only did 4 in this game. I don't know how many you did, but I've only did 4.
I managed three, and one of them was that potentially
Yeah,
game altering divine rule.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't played a whole ton of Babylon, and just poor law prioritization. But I did think that I did a decent job with getting my racks up early, and that's something that I really like to stress, and that part worked out okay.
Oh
Well, I
yeah,
think you
that's
played a
great.
good game. And one bit of advice I would offer, especially against a strategy like this, where you can kind of maybe intuit that somebody's throwing all in to something, because
Mm.
sometimes, like even I feel like Purple Bull Moose's strategy in his first game, like he showed up with a bunch of um, hoplites. And then I think I don't remember 100%, but I feel like if we checked his economy, his like economy wasn't that great at the time. So it's like
Nope.
he's looking to end the game right there. I think if you're set up in a situation like what you have, it's better to not fight the battle. If you just started retreating and tried to take the time that it would take, like you started, like for example, you just threw away your 2 bonus unique units, for example, because you were trying to
Yes.
defend Sapar. But if you just let me take Sapar or retreat, that gives you time to fort up in Yorick, and also it gives you more time orders wise to get everybody who's kind of slowly trickled in across that whole fight into Yorick, which would make that city so much harder for me to take. And maybe I slow down and hesitate, or maybe I fail. But the point is, ultimately, what you're looking for at this stage of the game is buying yourself time because you're about to hit your own timing with strongholds and seven laws and all that stuff. So I think if you see a losing battle coming your way, it's better to just lose a city than to try and fight a battle that you might not be able to win. And it's a very difficult skill to learn because I think we're all programmed to think we can't lose any cities. But I have had games where I've lost 1, 2, or even 3 cities against a human player and then popped off that timing that I was looking for and came back swinging super hard. So, yeah, just defensive play. It would be my only tip for how this game went because I think if those 2 unique units were up in York, one in the one in the city center, one in a fort, and there were forts all over the place with a bunch of spears, so I couldn't even get in for any flanking. That probably would have choked me up a little bit.
Yeah, what's so funny about that first unique unit going down was that was supposed to get force marched into the city,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I moved it, and then I went to force march and realized I had like 82 training, and I was
That's
like,
what
oh
you meant in
cool,
the
well
chat
that's
when you
dead.
said check your training before moving.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
Because yeah, that would have been the move. It's just to okay, you get to have Sapar and just trade Sapar for time. That
yeah.
would have been the move. Next time, one of these games, I'll get you. One of these games.
Yeah, always a pleasure to play, and thanks for hanging out. And Bull Moose, as always, thanks for covering and casting, and I hope you enjoyed the game.
Guys, it was an absolute pleasure. Good game to both of you. Looking forward to seeing the rest of your games in the tournament.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for sticking with me through the powers of movie magic. We are once more back and much appreciated to everyone. It was a phenomenal game. It was a learned a good amount actually. I enjoyed watching this. Nice little brainstorming. I think I got a couple of UAG ideas floating around the head. We'll see if that makes it into a video. But again, tune into the tournament, tune into the community. We love you. Happy conquering.